Next on Saratoga Live, Dream Pauline looked like a star in the making in her 2-year-old debut victory today. She finally returns for her long-awaited second career start. She'll face another filly who turned heads as a 2-year-old. Critique romped by 16 lengths to break her maiden at Saratoga last summer. She, too, makes her 3-year-old debut for Todd Pletcher. And today's ninth, one of Wesley Ward's winners at the Royal Meeting in Ascot last year, Conte Partiro, looks for her first win since smashing success across the pond. That and a lot more all ahead on this Thursday edition of Saratoga Live. It is presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Great to have you with us on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. Fans taking in another tremendous day at the races here at the premier meet in the country in Saratoga Springs, New York at the Spa Saratoga Racecourse. Greg Wolf alongside Gabby Gaudette. Good to have you with us. And in our ninth race coming up today, very intriguing race. Chad Brown has a filly debuting here in the States. She has a couple of races against the top level runners in filly, including a win over Group 1 winner Senga.
Of course, and looking at some of the quality of horses that she's faced overseas, you have Vu Fantastique, who came over here and ran against Graded Stakes Company, Senga, Rhododendron, Hydrangea, the list goes on and on. These are quality Group 1 horses, but this was her performance. She just was beaten 3/4 of a length in the Prix de Sichet. This was at Deauville behind Vu Fantastique and Listen In. This was a very good race for her, and maybe she is not Group 1 caliber. That's why she was competitive in a race like this. And the fact of the matter is, Chad Brown, he has tremendous success with his European imports. The hard thing about her here today is if she is going the appropriate distance and if she'll get the pace, because we saw that in her races going even 1.25 miles, she doesn't have a lot of early speed.
Filly, the bidder in that race, your pronunciation's, by the way, spot on. Vu Fantastique. She came to the U.S. She ran in the Sands Point in her States debut. She was 6th in the field of 8. States debut did not go all that well. We will see what happens today for On the Moon again out of the Chad Brown barn. It is all coming up on this Thursday edition of Saratoga Live. And you can play along for the races, get signed up and started, and play from home. With all the races we show you each and every day, you get a $200 new member sign-up bonus when you bet $200. Go to NYRABets.com, use the promo code Saratoga Live. You can bet any track, anywhere, anytime, or you can also download the NYRABets app to get involved as well. Today's races, you've joined us just in time for the start of the late pick 4. Mile and 1/8 over the inner turf, 50,000 starter allowance. Coming up, the 8th race, we have 6 furlong sprint for fillies and mares. Trying to get that first allowance condition win. That 9th is where we'll see On the Moon again making her States debut, and we'll close things out in the 10th on the inner turf maiden claiming event at 1 1/16. Weather and track conditions presented by Piranha Fly Spray, the preferred fly spray of the Saratoga Racecourse. Piranha on Pescon. Main track is fast, and the turf condition firm for today's races. Let's meet the rest of our crew this afternoon. Head downstairs to the paddock. New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling, former New York Met and LA Dodger Paula Duca.
Thanks, Greg. It's nice to be down here. Got some terrific races and a lot of very competitive races on today's card. The 8th race, the race with Dream Pauline, feels like a kind of race, and you see a lot of Saratoga, anyone can win. My question to Dream Pauline is, how good is she, and is she going to be an underlay?
Yeah, that's going to be the question. I mean, she's got a tremendous pedigree. She's by a champion in Dream Rush. She has a half-sister in Dreaming of Julia. Is she going to be that kind? And I think we're going to find out today, Andy. You know, her win last time was good. It got a lowish figure. I think it may be a little lower than people thought. Now, she's by the Sire Tappet, so she should love going a little further ground, but they bring her back at 6 furlongs. So are they sort of starting all over again?
Well, you always want to win, and at Saratoga especially, and everybody wants to win, but their goals obviously are longer races, as you say, as her pedigree suggests, and this is not an easy field, but I will say her last race might be a little bit better than it looks. Second place finisher came back. She improved her buyer speed figure 12 points, so it might be a bit of a stronger race than it looks. The thing is, and you and I have talked about this race off camera, this 8th race is the kind of race where I wouldn't knock anybody for making any selection.
Yeah, you know why? Because when you look at Dream Pauline and you look at Wisconsin Knight, they're your first and your second choice. They have 1 win. A lot of the others and fillies in here have multiple wins. That's why it makes it so competitive.
No, I agree. It's a very good point. She gives up a lot of experience. Well, there's a lot of experience around here, and there's a lot of horse to take a look at. And let's find out what Maggie's thinking.
Well, Andy, I'm looking at the race after you guys. This one on the turf and on the moon again. She's not the only foreign shipper heading into this race. We see the Argentinian bred on the outside. That is a number 7 in here, Care Lady, making her, well, United States debut for trainer Arnaud Delacour. Now, she is a 2-time Group 1 winner down in her native Argentina, 1 on the turf and 1 on the dirt as well. And we watch her last race where she just came with a sustained run, which arguably moved a little early as well. And even despite her jockey celebrating 5 strides before and stopping riding, she still got the job done. She looks to be a big, strong filly, and I'm intrigued to see what she does here going 1 1/8. Granted, both of those races were going 1 1/4. Also, one knock against her is that her trainer, Arnaud Delacour, only 1 for 10 with his foreign shippers coming in on the turf. So she's an intriguing prospect here, Greg. Looking forward to seeing her in the paddock.
Yeah, 2 kind of unknown quantities, at least here in the States, but Care Lady coming in from Argentina in that Group 1 win on the turf. She beat a fellow Group 1 winner in Amy B. Key, who's had some very good success in Argentina as well. So excited to see that one make her States debut coming up for Arnaud Delacour in an intriguing 9th race. Let's start things off with this late pick 4, race 7. We will begin 1 1/8 on the inner turf, 50,000 starter allowance. And right now, Century for trainer Shug McGahee, Stuart Janney with Manny Franco aboard, 9-5 favoritism.
Yeah, that's a little low. I thought that this was a competitive field, but he comes out of a good second place performance, of course, behind Carrick, who is now graded stakes placed.
We're going to have a paddock report for you. Post parade coming up, 170,000 plus in the pick 4 pool and growing. We'll talk more about the 7th to kick off the sequence when we come back on Saratoga Live. Stay tuned.
Grade 1 winner Lee traveled the world competing against the best of his generation. A graded stakes winner on both dirt and turf, he set a new track record in the Grade 1 Don Handicap and retired with earnings of more than $2.3 million. Now his flashy first crop yearlings are turning heads with a striking resemblance to their internationally successful sire. The sky's the limit for this promising young stallion. Lee, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Success starts at Saratoga. The Saratoga Selected Yearling Sale has established a reputation for high quality and high performance. Recent graduates include Grade 1 winners Avenge, Bolt d'Oro, and Moonshine Memories, and 2017 Breeders' Cup champions Battle of Midway, Stormy Liberal, and Rushing Fall. The nation's #1 sale by percentage of Grade 1 winners. The Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Sale, August 6th and 7th.
We found Breeders' Cup champion Rushing Fall at Saratoga. Where will you be?
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, upstate New York's ultimate entertainment destination, with live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. Book your luxury waterfront room or suite at upstate New York's premier resort, the Landing Hotel at Rivers Casino and Resort.
Back on Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2, presented by Claiborne Farm. The history, you can feel it right when you walk through the doors. Not just at this racetrack, but really in the entire town of Saratoga Springs, something that makes this place so special for horse racing fans that come to visit. Pick 4 is coming up here in this 7th race. It begins on the turf at 1 1/8 miles, 50,000 starter allowance. There it's Here Comes Your Man. A lot of second-place finishes for this 4-year-old.
And only one victory. Obviously, that is one of the reasons why he's in this race, but 1 for 17 and 1 for 14 on the turf, too. We'll take a look at his last race where he was defeated just a neck behind Zafiro. Greg, I don't know how this horse lost this race because we could see the horse who eventually would beat him actually was slower to get going than this horse. And it just looked like once he finally matched strides and locked in with the other horse who was inside, he would not go past him. And this is a reoccurring theme. And that's why I think that he is very vulnerable in here.
And his only win, it came at 1 mile. That race we showed you was at 1 mile. Do you think he can be effective at 1 1/8 miles?
It's a good question. Usually when horses have a tendency to not finish and rack up those defeats, it means that they want less distance.
Meanwhile, Century, the 5, remains the favorite. The son of Smart Strike, looking for his 2nd win of his career as well. Let's send it downstairs to Andy and Paul for more.
Century's just way the horse to beat in this race, and I think one of the reasons, and they touched on it upstairs, Paul, is that the second most logical horse, Here Comes Your Man, doesn't seal the deal. The reality is that Century's improving for trainer Shug McGay, and I think one of the things that makes Shug one of the great trainers in the game, and one of the greatest trainers maybe of all time in the game, is he gets horses to improve.
Yeah, and I think the key is, too, the blinkers helped this son of Smart Strike, and got him more involved, not more involved, more settled, actually. Sometimes it'll put more speed in the horse, but the longer the race is, the more settled. But Century in here, at least last time out, showed, like it says in the comment line, some good energy late, was getting to Carrick. I thought was running on nicely.
He did run well, and Carrick finished 3rd in the stake down at Delaware Park. His next start, not a great performance, but he ran well enough to be 3rd. And Century was 3 wide around the racetrack the entire way, and he still was finishing at the end. And sometimes when you have horses that are wide the whole way around a 2-turn race, it'll mute their kick, and yet he was very strong at the end. He's the horse to beat. What about the 4 Honey Don't for trainer Bill Mott? Bill Mott, another trainer, extremely good with horses off of maiden wins. And Honey Don't won his last race in a maiden claiming race, beating the number 9 Sport, who came back and won easily in a subsequent start here at Saratoga.
Yeah, I guess if you like the 4, then you use the 9. I don't really like the 9 in here. I do like the 4's last effort. And I know there was a tiny bit of give in the ground, but there really wasn't. They stopped the clock in an okay time, especially for maiden 40s. But how do you throw out Bill Mott horses up here so far? They've been running out of their skin.
I agree, and he's good off maidens. And for me, if Here Comes Your Man gets the winner's circle, I'm going to lose. I'm okay with that. I want to start my pick 5 out with winning type, so I'm going to focus in heavily on the 5 Century, and I'm going to use Honey Don't a little as my backup. And if some of the others win, I'll lose. I lose all the time, Paul. It happens.
I get what you're saying.
And I know you don't, but I occasionally even know to not catch a bet.
The poor 2 horse, Here Comes Your Man, the beginning of his career, he was a front runner, couldn't get the job done. Then they started rating him from way back, and he seemed like he was even getting better, but he still couldn't get the job done. I feel sorry for the connections because he really deserves more than 1 win.
But horses like this do get checks, and they pay their way, Greg.
Well, Bill Mott having a tremendous meet at this point. He reeled off 5 wins in a 6-day span. He's having one of the better meets he has had in a long time here at Saratoga. You can play along with our races without risking any of your own money by getting involved with the Saratoga Showdown online contest. Go to NYRA.com/showdown. Enter your selections. You're competing for real prizes that includes a 2019 Belmont Stakes ticket package. Right now, it's time for a paddock report. We're going to check in with Maggie Wolfendale. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Curlin for $150,000. Hi, Maggie.
Hey, Greg. Well, we'll actually start out with a horse that by Smart Strike as well as Curlin, and that is Century in here, your current favorite, as he comes out of a very good effort last time out for Shug McGahee. Now, he seems like the horse that has been improving and has faced the better horses in regards to the rest of his foes here. Now, here in the paddock, he is showing more energy than I've ever seen from him. He's actually screaming here in the paddock. It's Saratoga. It's a lot more going on outside of his surroundings here, so that might be why he's doing so. Hopefully it doesn't affect the way he runs here today, but it's just something that I noticed. Physically, though, he looks great in his flesh. Moving on to number 7, Miles of Humor. Well done, Ralph Nix, his assistant, Heather Smullen here in the paddock, who has taken Miles of Humor because he is a bad boy. He's a bad boy every single time he comes to the paddock, but he's keeping it together fairly nicely since they put the tack on, which is a good thing for him. As long as he doesn't continue to lose his mind as he was doing when he was walking in here, then that's good. It's really subsided, and physically, he looks great. It's just he's one of those horses that while his last 2 efforts were good, probably against a little lesser competition. And then on the outside is number 10, Lil Commissioner, here for trainer Robertino Diodoro, and this will be his 3rd start back, coming in off a win in that maiden 75, and each time I've seen him this year, he improves. I swear he's grown from that last race back on June 22nd to now here in early August, because his confidence seems to be through the roof as well. I think this horse is one that could be on the upswing and ready to improve his form, Greg.
Interesting. We'll see. Coming off a maiden climbing victory on the turf for Sharp Barn. Can he take a next step forward? 7-1 on the board on Lil Commissioner. Here's Irad Ortiz Jr. He'll get a leg up on Miles of Humor, the 7 horse we just saw moments ago. Tough pick 4 sequence. Paul LaDuca, what'd you come up with?
Well, I'm going to try to attack it from different ways, but listen, you got to lean on Chad Brown when it comes to turf racing anywhere in New York. So I'm going to go deep in here. 4, 5, 7, 9, and 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in race number 8, which is a confusing race. And again, race number 9 on the moon again. A filly by Cape Cross coming over from Europe. Looks to be very tough, although there's no pace in that race. That's what worries me a tiny bit. And then in race number 10, 1, 4, 6, and 7. Muchacha Uno is the horse to beat in the last, the 1.
All right, so there's Paul LaDuca's pick 4 ticket, 252,000 plus in that pool and growing as we get another look there at that 7 horse, Miles of Humor. But Century still our favorite on the board. We've talked about who this horse faced last time out. We'll be making a run here from mid-pack.
And a point just about Miles of Humor. I know he's stepping up in class, but he could be one of the potential speeds in here. I mean, we have Honeydon't to the inside, who's very quick, but how often do we see Bilmont horses be on the lead? I just think that this horse could be a pace factor, whether or not he's good enough. We'll see.
I tend to agree with Gabby. Miles of Humor is a horse who can be forwardly placed, and I think that's one of the reasons he's been reasonably successful in his recent races, tractability, and he's not impossible to get it done in this race. What about the 6 short list, guys? We talked about it earlier, Gabby and I, and he seems to be a horse that probably wants more distance, but he did have some trouble in his last start, and he's run okay enough in his recent races, though his trainer, Jeremiah Englehart, is not good off the claim on the turf.
The thing that worries me about that horse is Clement sent the horse 1.5 miles, and I'm wondering if he's thinking, okay, off a layoff too, and he lost the focus group and did not lose by much, and then boom, the immediate drop right after that. Why the immediate drop after a decent race? That's a tiny bit of a worry. And when it comes to the 7, he is the lone horse in here that does have multiple wins.
Miles of Humor.
Yeah,
he's not impossible in here. Listen, I mean, I looked through. Maggie had some nice things to say about the 10, Lil Commissioner getting better. He had a very good trip when he broke his maiden last time, and that may be a slightly subpar field. But I guess when you look at this race, if you don't like Century, and I do like Century, and I know, Paul, you agree with me, and I think Gabby agrees as well, then I think you could come up with a lot of different horses in here.
Well, there's one of them you can make a case for sure. Lil Commissioner, kind of a new face. There's a couple. I mean, Sport just broke his maiden the 9, and Lil Commissioner, the 10, just did as well.
Yeah, he's going to have to improve off of that last race in order to win here. But as Maggie said, he's maybe an improving type. He's a beautiful-looking horse in the paddock, too.
Called a post from Sam the Bugler. And our post parade here coming up. And we're going to start with Here Comes Your Man. Not talked a lot about the 2 in here. It was 4-1 morning line, 7-2 right now for the Tony Dutrow barn. But we did mention all those seconds from this horse. He's raced 17 times, 14 on the turf, 6 times second.
Yeah, he's hard to promote in here, especially considering he'll be a shorter price. But we'll see. I mean, is he better at the mile? Is he better at 9 furlongs? Where does he fit in this race? I'm not so sure.
There's a look at him. Son of distorted humor, Javier Castellano has been aboard each of the last couple of starts, so at least he knows him well, knows that he was a little bit shorter, got caught late last start. So he's back on board today, again for the Tony Dutrow barn, owned by Team D. Here he is. Here comes your man.
Again, another horse who took some time to break his maiden. Finally, once he's done that, he has had trouble getting through those conditions. Right now, your second choice at 3-1.
Knock Holt. This is a 2016 Phasic Tipton October sale graduate for Jack Fisher.
His trainer, one of the top jump trainers in the country, has a success in the flat, but this one would have to improve.
Honey Don'ts for Hall of Famer Bill Mott Jr. Alvarado aboard, just broke his maiden last start.
Yeah, got a nice confidence booster, dropping in class for the maiden 40, making him eligible for this condition today.
The favorite, the 5 Century Manny Franco, rides for Shug McGahee.
He's the horse to beat off recent form that makes him tough.
Short list is the 6 off the claim for Jeremiah Engelhart and Luis Saez aboard.
I thought a very intriguing horse, considering he's double-digit odds right now. His race 2 starts back would be very competitive against this field.
Ralph Nix trains Miles of Humor, Irad Ortiz Jr. in the irons.
At least a possible pace factor, and his recent races are at least good enough to give him a chance to win.
The 9 Sport for the James Bond barn, Rajiv Mirage in the irons.
Finally broke his maiden in his 11th start, looking to become the first 2-time winner in the 2018 Saratoga meet.
And the 10 Lil Commissioner for Robertino Diodoro, David Cohen aboard.
A horse that looks very good in the post parade, an improving type, and who knows, he could relish this distance on the turf today.
Now, 2 starts ago, the 9-horse Sport, he faced Honey Don't. He was no match for the 4 on that occasion. He'd come right back, break his maiden by 4 3/4 lengths. Maggie Wolfendale has more on the 9 Sport.
Yes, please be joined here in the paddock, Greg, by his trainer, Jimmy Bond. And Jimmy, Sport is a horse that's taken a while to get to the winner's circle, but patience has certainly paid off with this guy.
Well, not really. He's 5 years old, so we're not sure yet. Okay, but
On your part.
yes, on Mr. Clifton's part. You know, he kind of woke up the other day finally, and you know, much easier field, of course, and sometimes that's the trigger that they all need to kind of get him started again. And he came back so good. You know, this race we saw it in the book, and I said, you know what, the next book didn't look too good. So let's take a shot and see where we're at. And, you know, he's doing well. Not as much speed in this race, which is going to hurt us a little bit because the other day there was some speed up front, so he kind of fell into it pretty well. But we'll see what happens.
When you're bringing a horse back off of a short rest, obviously 8 days, what do you do with them? I mean, I'm sure it's individually based, but what can you do training-wise?
Not much, okay? You just kind of let them, you know, just kind of see how they are, make sure they're physically okay and that everything, their weight's good. We weigh our horses, so, you know, we're kind of lucky. And he lost like 3 pounds, and that's probably Lasix more than anything, so we got it right back where we needed. And like I say, he's, you know, he only ran 3/16 of a mile the other day, you know, just down the lane, so he got another blowout, I call it. And, you know, physically he's good, and keeping our fingers crossed.
Jimmy, you are lucky. You have state-of-the-art barn, equipment, everything. Talk a little bit about your facility here at Saratoga.
Well, it's a 40-stall barn, and it has just about all the amenities you probably would want. Turnout pens, we weigh horses there. We just, the grain's all separated. Hay we buy in bulk so we can store things at bulk, and stalls are matted. All the horses have ceiling fans. I mean, it's kind of nice. All the blacksmiths and veterinarians love to spend time in our barn during the summertime. And like I say, we're blessed. Like I say, I worked for Mrs. Payson for 14 years. I had her private barn, and we always loved being private. So we've had this barn since the year 2000, and it's just, it's really nice, especially when you have to go to Belmont or go to Florida and share a barn. You know, your neighbor may not be as clean as you or whatever. So anyway, it's nice.
Well, you're also blessed to have your family really involved. Both of your sons, Kevin and Ryan, are involved in the business, assistants to you. How special is that for you?
Well, there are some strong family arguments, I can be honest with you, but, you know, Dad's getting a little older, and the new way is probably the better way. But saying all that, okay, it's just so many great eyes all the time on the horses. You know, we all just love the horses, and we're lucky enough to have great clients. And, you know, we're just a really close family, needless to say. And Mom holds it all together and kind of controls, is the referee for the arguments. And anyway, we survive pretty well.
Well, Jimmy, it's always a pleasure catching up with you and your wife, Tina. She is a superstar. Best of luck here with Sport.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Greg, Jimmy Bonbarn, always one to watch here in Saratoga.
Yeah, thanks, Maggie. There's a lot of interesting things going on with sport in this race. Did this horse just wake up and absolutely love this turf course? Keep in mind, it was just 8 days ago he won here. Or did he take to the yielding turf, and how's he going to respond after the quick comeback?
A lot of
Where did
questions.
he find the right
a lot
field?
of questions. And I know the turf is listed as firm, but we did get a little bit of rain in the area, so it's probably, has a little bit of moisture in it still. Maybe it's a horse that just relished the conditions. When you win by almost 5 lengths, something's got to go right.
I really think he just found the right field last time. I mean, it was an easier field. He lost Honey Dote the time before that. And I just look at the horse he ran against. He didn't really run any better and faster from a speed figure standpoint. He was running last year in this course. I think it was just the class drop. Doesn't mean he can't take another step forward here, but I think it was just the right group.
Yeah, and the other part about this is, too, the horse got beat by the 4, and the 4 is a tactical horse. And, we mentioned earlier there's not a lot of pace in this race. So Honey Don't has a little pace and actually went pretty fast. If you think about it, took the lead actually maybe a little bit earlier than expected last time. But, I mean, he handled Sport pretty easily last time.
He did, because Sport looked like, and we had talked about it that day, like he was going to swallow him up, and he really didn't even get that close to him.
No.
Now, one thing I'll say about Sport, he was a horse that was cut out to be a good horse. He had run. I mean, look who he ran against. Manitoulin, Patterson Cross, Delta Prince. These are stakes horses. And he had some trips in his races, and it's amazing. It just shows how tough the game is, how long it took him to break his maiden. And I think the question is, after winning, sometimes the light bulb goes up, but I think he'd have to improve a little bit, even off his easy win last time against this field.
Yeah, he'd have to. And you're right. Maybe the light bulb will wake up a horse like this that's had talent before, and now he's stringing a couple races together. This is a horse that's had some issues in the past, and now is running in about 8 days. So obviously everything is going good with him physically.
Yeah, and as Jimmy said to Maggie, he only ran for about 3/16 of a mile, and that's the thing with turf horses. Sometimes they don't have to exert themselves that much.
So 9-1 on Sport for the James Bond barn. Pace-wise in this race, the main speed of this race is gone. As we look at the favorite here, Century, the 5, again in this race. No one's talking about the 3 at 24-1.
Why?
Is he going to be in the lead?
Well, he was on the lead in races or near the lead with pretty slow paces. I think Gabby had touched on before. Honey Don't or Miles of Humor appear at least on paper. Now, we don't run races on paper. Maybe Javier will. I'll tell you something. What about Javier Castellano and Here Comes Your Man? Sometimes Javier is the kind of rider, and I don't know if he still has any speed left, but he tries to mix things up and say, and as you guys pointed out, he's had speed in the past.
Let's check in for more on this long shot. And we'll see in a moment here, Knockholt, the 3. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Greg, I'm glad you brought him up because I do find him intriguing. I know on paper he looks very slow in regards to the rest of his competition here, but Jack Fisher, he is good over the jumps. He's better at it, but he can get a flat horse to win, too. And last time, he was coming off a bit of a layoff, and I think he was actually, if anything, a bit rank on the front end here overall and probably expended too much energy fighting Jockey Forest Boys going around those bends. So I think he could secure the lead here. He looked tremendous in the paddock. As a long shot, he did not look like he was 26-1. So an interesting player to maybe mix in with the exotics. Greg?
Uh-oh. 23-1 long shot, and we're on the inner turf course as well, where speed can reign supreme.
I don't know. I don't see it. He's going to have to vastly improve. And look, Jack Fisher is an incredible horseman. So his horses will look good, but they have to be fast enough in order to win.
I'm with Gabby here. He doesn't have the speed to be close unless Jose Lezcano goes to do an all-out drive, which I suppose could happen, but it's unlikely. He's not fast enough to win. He's a long shot for a reason. He's not an underlay at 24-1, in my opinion.
No, I'm with you. And the 5, I guess, is the favorite, but the 7 to me is a ridiculous price at 6-1.
Loading up. It's the start of the late pick 4 here on this Thursday afternoon from Saratoga. The 5 Century, the 1 to beat. Let's send it upstairs to Larry Colmus for the call.
Ready for the start. They're off. And it's Honey Don't, who had a good beginning. Knockholt sent out of there from the inside. Century is right there, too, with Miles of Humor. Little Commissioner on the far outside. Short List is next. Sport is second last, and Here Comes Your Man trails the field 8 lengths off of front-running Knockholt and Jose Lezcano, who lead the way by a length over Honey Don't. Miles of Humor is next on the outside. Break of another 2.5. And they're followed by Sentry, who's going to hug the rail into that turn. 4 lengths off the lead. Little Commissioner's next. Sport in behind Sentry there. And right alongside of Sport as they head toward the backstretch is Short List. And the trailer is Here Comes Your Man. 23.93 was the first quarter. Onto the backstretch, and it's Knockholt in front. The leader here by a length over Miles of Humor. Honey Don't is third on the inside. Little Commissioner tracks them in fourth, 4 from the lead. Then it's Sentry to the inside. Short List and Sporter together. They're 7 lengths behind. Here Comes Your Man, still unhurried by Javier Castellano at the rear of the field through a 49.24 half mile. Knockholt on top here. Long shot leading the way into the far turn by a length and a half to Miles of Humor. Honey Don't is third on the inside. Little Commissioner is fourth. Short List gets going on the outside. Sentry saves all the ground. Sport and Here Comes Your Man. Knockholt still the one to catch. 3/4, 113.91 seconds. And Knockholt's going to turn for home with the lead here at 29-1. Off the turn with a 2-length lead. Miles of Humor is second. Little Commissioner, Short List. Honey Don't on the inside. Sport is on the far outside. They've caught Knockholt now. Little Commissioner's in front. Short List on the outside. Miles of Humor is down toward the rail. Then it's Sentry, Sport, and Here Comes Your Man on the far outside. They're driving down to the wire. Who's it going to be? It's going to be Sentry. Sentry did it. Short List was second. Here Comes Your Man was third. A photo for fourth in 150.54.
Final late surge, and Sentry, who winds up going off second choice in this race, under Manny Franco, gets the win.
This horse did not have a lot of running room. He was trapped down between horses down on the inside, and once he finally got a little seam to work with, he spurted clear. This was an impressive victory here, but guys did get a good pace flow in front of him to close into as well.
No, but this horse was so much the best, it was ridiculous. I mean, as Gabby alluded to, once he got a seam to run through, he just ran by these horses blocked in traffic, and the best horse won, Paul.
No, he did. Manuel Franco did a good job of not panicking, and the blinkers has obviously helped this horse. It's amazing. Like I said earlier, blinkers usually will sharpen a horse. Blinkers have actually relaxed this horse a little bit, and I still can't believe he was second choice. I can't believe the 2 ended up your favorite. At one point in the stretch, it looked like 4 different horses were going to win this race.
It's funny because the 3 horse, we joked beforehand and said, well, I guess he could get the lead if Jose Lezcano went into all-out drive. He actually did go out into a drive to get him in front in this race. He also finished last.
So Sentry picks up the second win of his career. And Shug McGahee collecting another win here. 5, 6, 2, 7. It actually was the 2 who went off favored late. Here Comes Your Man. Took a lot of late money.
How
Sentry
did that happen?
At 5-2 in the end, gets the job done. Well, the prices, when we come back, we'll set the stage for race 8 as well. Right after this on Saratoga Live.
Exaggerator down to the 16th pole, but Exaggerator has turned the tables. He has won the Preakness. He has won the Travers over American Pharoah. Irish War Cry has won the Wood Memorial. Alice. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Welcome back to Saratoga Live. Race number 6 is in the books, and Century, your winner. And I'm pleased to be joined here in the winner's circle by winning rider Manny Franco. And Manny, you had us holding our breaths a little bit as far as coming down the lane, but once you found that seam, Century responded.
Yeah, I want to say thank God first, and Chu for giving me the opportunity. The horse get along with me good, you know, and I know he take a little bit of time to get going, but as soon as he get going, he goes. So.
And you're right. I'm glad you brought that up, because since you've gotten on, you've broken his maiden, and he seems to, since he won that race, responded well. He seems to be figuring out his races. How much has this horse improved since going back to his maiden races?
Man, he improved a lot, and Chu's been doing a great job with him. I walk him in the morning sometimes, so I'm able to, know the horse, and like I say, he got along with me really well, and he did it today.
He was good. Congratulations, Manny. We'll let you run back to the jocks room.
Thank you, Maggie.
All right, Century and
Manny Franco getting the job done. He was underneath a very nice, or on top of a nice one, I should say, in Century. Picks up just the second win of his career. Just starting to get real good now in his 4-year-old campaign. Returns $7.30 for the win.
It seems like the two have built a very nice rapport. This 4-year-old gelding by Smart Strike out of a Danzig mare. Congratulations to the Connections, returning $7.30 for the win.
Let's take a look at the Naira bets. Late pick 5 follow along, $155,000 in the pool on this Thursday afternoon. Super Echo starts things off. Century wins leg 2. No favorites yet in the sequence.
No favorites. These two horses did make sense, but we'll see as we get farther along. Even this next race, I think, is going to be confusing whether the main contenders show up.
Long way to go is what we're trying to say in the Naira Bets late pick 5. We just saw Shug McGahee win. He's had some great runners in the Hall of Fame career. Easy Goer, Personal Ensign, Heavenly Prize will be inducted in the Racing Hall of Fame tomorrow here at Saratoga. Also a Kentucky Derby win. It all changed for Shug when he decided to make the move to New York and started a very special partnership.
I am Shug McGahee. And I am a trainer. I never really was a big guy in school. I never did really catch on to that part of it. But when I went to the track, I was seeing all this new stuff every day. I never wanted to leave. I'd get there in the morning, I wanted to stay all day. I wanted to be there when the blacksmith was there, the vet was there, and I was just a hot walker at that time. But I was fascinated by the whole thing. I had quite a few horses. I had them at 2 or 3 different places, and I wasn't comfortable with that. I made up my mind that I was going to try to get maybe the best 15 or 20 I had and come to New York and then try to build up around that. Then I got the phone call from the Phippses. They said, when are you going to be back in New York when we can talk? And I was back for the Jockey Club Gold Cup, which I'm going to say was October the 5th, 1985. I was petrified, and I was going to meet this icon of not only society, but of horse racing and this and that. And, I was just some little guy from Kentucky.
It's Van Landingham in front.
Well, then I won the Gold Cup that afternoon. He presented the trophy. So, like the first of the week and stuff, we came to terms and just sort of evolved from that.
To the 16th of a mile from the wire. Winning Colors is there. Personal Ensign, a dramatic finish, and here is the wire, and it is Personal Ensign there with Winning Colors.
Great race. I thought she hopefully would beat the 3/8 pole. It shows what a good filly she is to be able to overcome it and win.
I can't remember about the pressure, but I know we got back up here and everything went right.
Easy Goer gets clear by 4. Sunday Silence remains in second.
He loved this racetrack with the big turns.
It's New York's Easy Goer in front.
And then not everything went right with Sunday Silence. It not only gave me my first Classic winner, but it also gave Mr. Phipps his, so it was quite a thrill. Inside Information was a filly that always surprised me because it was Heavenly Prize at the same time.
The response was devastating. Inside Information. Wow, look at this! A colossal victory! And Heavenly Prize, her stablemate, will be second.
Lure was an exceptionally talented and exceptionally fast horse. We took him down to Florida for the Breeders' Cup, and he was there for like 2 weeks. And it was just every day he was getting better and better. And when I saw him in the paddock that day at Gulfstream, I said, my God, look at this.
Lohr running a huge race this afternoon. He's in front by 4. Look at this time. He destroyed the track record. 1 minute 32 and 4/5 seconds. What an effort by Lohr.
I always thought I would like to win the Kentucky Derby and get it over with so I didn't have to worry about it anymore. But I would have never, if I'd have won it in the 80s, you know, it would not have meant as much to me as it did when I did win it.
Orb has won the Kentucky Derby for Shug McGee.
Like Lynn Whiting told me, he said, Shug, it doesn't wash off, and he's right. It doesn't wash off. Sometimes I'll be thinking, I can't believe I won the Derby. Hold on, Angel. Don't go anywhere. There it was, knocking on the door.
It's been a Hall of Fame career for Shug McGahee, and Heavenly Prize mentioned in that piece who won the Alabama Stakes right here at Saratoga will be inducted into the Hall of Fame tomorrow right across the street from the racetrack here at Saratoga Racecourse.
On top of that, Lure, of course, the horse that he trained, will have his namesake in a race on Saturday, too. So the list goes on and on. I don't think impressive even begins to describe the horses that he has trained, the list of horses he has trained.
We're going to take a break in the action. When we come back, fillies and mares sprinting 6 furlongs. Dream Pauline, when she debuted for Karen McLaughlin, she was sensational. 6-length score, first time out. We haven't seen her since. This is the comeback effort. There she is, the daughter of Tappet, making her second career start where she'll be as brilliant as she was first time out. We'll find out next.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
You're watching Saratoga Live. So many fun things to do here at the premier racetrack in the country, like Taste New York. You could have a sampling of cider, wine, and spirits every Thursday. It's in partnership with the New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets from noon to 5 p.m. every Thursday afternoon. Unfortunately, Gabby, we're on the air and we can't partake.
That stinks. It looks like a really good selection of wines and ciders. Maybe one day we'll have to call in sick.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
Don't tell anybody. All right, this 8th race coming up. This is neat. 3 and 4-year-old fillies and mares taking that next step, coming off maiden scores like Dream Pauline. We saw her as a 2-year-old. She won by 6 lengths first time out. We have not seen her since. This is the return effort. Javier Castellano will be aboard.
She definitely has a pedigree in order to, or suggest her being very talented and successful. She's by Tappet. She's out of that Wild Rush mare, Dream Rush. She's got a lot of impressive horses that she's kin to. And in her debut, she too was impressive. She took a little bit of money at Aqueduct. This was her winning. And even, Greg, she had a little bit of touch of greenness. As you can see, Martin Garcia was aboard her that day. She had a tendency to lug in a little bit coming down the stretch. But once he corrected her, she really kind of went on from there. The question is how strong that field was, and is she prepared to improve today? We haven't seen her since December.
Yeah, questions that we're only going to find out after they run this race here, but very impressive debut. A lot of time off. Looks like she's been working forwardly for the comeback effort. Some other ones, too, making a return. 7 Critique 3-year-old filly by Midnight Loot. She was very impressive. Second start of her career. It was a race that was scheduled for the turf. Came off the turf, ran on the main track, and she won by 16 lengths to break her maiden.
Yeah, this was here at Saratoga last year, obviously, when she did get that romp in by 16 lengths. And the track did have a little bit of moisture on it that day. It was listed as good, although it was harrowed. You can see her, too, on the wrong lead coming down the stretch. But this race was so impressive that Todd Pletcher decided to tackle Grade 1 Company in the Frazette next out. Subpar performance, and she's disappeared since.
The problem with that win, it was impressive for sure. The horse who finished second had to drop to 16 maiden claiming to break her maiden. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th place finishers are still maidens to this day.
And here's a stat, Greg, that I just wanted to touch on. 180-plus day layoffs, dirt sprints in the last 5 years. Todd Pletcher is successful, and this is a big sample size of horses, 138, positive ROI. But with 3-year-old fillies in particular, he's only 7 for 31 and an ROI of $1.04. So I think that is telling. Some people, don't have as much success with fillies making their 3-year-old debut off of layoffs.
Andy, 9-2 right now in Critique.
Critique seems to be in a little bit in that zone where you're just not sure what to expect from her. She feels like an either-or. She'll either show up and run big or not run at all. Starting from the inside, Wisconsin Night is a horse I'd liked last time because she was on a dead rail in her debut at Monmouth. I don't like the way horses out of that race have run. Our Circle of Love, who finished second, came back with a mediocre second. Yesterday is a heavy favorite. And the 3rd place finisher was very disappointing at a short price for Chad Brown, her next start. And I'm starting to wonder if that race was as strong as the 82 Buyer speed figure suggests, Paul.
Yeah, that is a good question. Now I wonder if she's faster than the 4 Mizzen Mask. Is she faster than the 6 the 5 Shimmering Moon? Shimmering Moon can be fast and hasn't got a fast racetrack in a while. So, but I would think Irad's going to have to push the button from go, right?
Well, from the rail, I think he really doesn't have much choice. He has to try to be aggressive. And does that put him under the gun the whole way, or is he fast enough to get away from these? I mean, that's really the million-dollar question. I'm interested in the long shot, and I know you kind of agree with me, or longer price, I should say, the 3 Isotope, who's 6-1 right now. She's got to get herself in early position because she really has come out of the gate a little slowly in her last 2 starts, and it's compromised her chances. But I think she ran pretty well last time. The last race she comes out of was dominated by horses who were both forwardly placed and saving ground. She was neither.
Yeah, and it was a really good race of fillies too. I thought, at least the last race, a bunch of fillies. Now I get it; she's getting into a nice group here, but scenario: if the 1 does go, if the 4 Mizzen Max does go, if the 5 Shimmering Moon does show that speed.
And even the 7.
Isotope, yeah, the 7. Isotope's the horse that can close, can make up ground, and is a 4-time winner.
How forwardly placed is the 2 Dream Pauline going to be in this race? She rayed a little bit in her first start. Wasn't a particularly fast pace, and she moved pretty fastly in there. So not only are you wondering, will she improve? I mean, I got to say something. Dream Pauline can win this race. I don't think either one will be surprised if she wins. But 8-5, Paul, isn't that a terrible gamble?
Yeah, it's a terrible gamble because I've learned over my lifetime one number horses will destroy you. And I don't care what the pedigree says. I get it. She was dominating. She won by 6 lengths. She comes in with a nice little work. But she's running against multiple fillies in here that have won multiple races. So to me, I just proceed with caution on a horse at 8-5
I mean,
there.
the truth is nobody should be a super short price in this race, much less a horse that raced once back in December.
I would agree with that. Do you agree?
I do agree. And if Andy is still with us, I have another question because we were talking about this earlier off air about what the right price would be for a horse like the 7 Critique, and how do you know whether or not she's live? I mean, Andy, reading the board, how do you kind of distinguish who is live and who is not right now?
Right now, Critique feels a little bit chilly because she's the kind of horse that if she's going to run, there's probably good workout reports on her. There's probably good reports in the barn. If she stays 9-2, I'd be surprised if she wins. But it's early. The betting here, she could end up at 5-2.
Yeah, you look at the morning lines compared to the betting right now, it looks like everybody doesn't really know where they're going.
Time for a paddock report. We're going to check in with Maggie Wolfendale. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Bayern for $15,000.
Jocks out here in the paddock, Greg, as we'll check in with the horse coming back off the layoff. That's number 2, Dream Pauline in here for Kieran McLaughlin. And really, it's the same situation as I observed from her last time, which was her first start in which she won by 6 lengths. She's a bigger type of filly. She is accompanied here by the pony. I suppose, and I'm guessing, that she may have the propensity to be a little bit on edge because I saw it slightly here, but since she's just really kind of calmed down as her head down and is focused really on the pony's tail. So that's a good thing. And she comes back in here looking fit. So we'll see. I have no complaints with her coming back off of that respective layoff. But a horse that I'm really interested in is number 4, Mizzen Max. This is her first coming out against Open Company, as she has beaten up on New York breds in her first career 6 starts, where she won 3 of them and was second in 3 of those races. And I just love the development of this filly here for trainer Michelle Nevin. I mean, look at her. She's got her game face on. She is ready for some action here, and she is well muscled. Look at those hindquarters, that shoulder muscle. She's just become stronger and stronger with each race going forward, and I really like what I'm seeing from her, Greg. Mizzen Max, we'll see if she's up for the test of Open Company.
6-1 on the board. She is one of 3 multiple winners in this field, 2 of them coming from that Michelle Nevin barn. Race 8 coming up. Javier Castellano aboard Dream Pauline ahead.
Mastery retired undefeated, winning his 4 starts by a combined 20 lengths. A 6-figure September sale purchase, he won impressively in his 2-year-old debut at Santa Anita. From there, he captured the Grade 3 Bob Hope Stakes and completed his juvenile campaign with a dominant performance in the Grade 1 Los Alamitos Futurity. At 3, the top-rated son of Candy Ride sizzled in the San Felipe, running a 105 Beyer and winning by open lengths. Mastery, new for 2018 at Claiborne Farm.
How do New York breds perform? They win in world-class company. From Grade 1 races in Dubai, where New York-sired New York bred Mind Your Biscuits won the Golden Shaheen for a second time, to Belmont adding to his status as the richest New York bred with a close second in the Met Mile. The Belmont Festival saw 2 more New York breds become millionaires, 4-star Crook in the New York Stakes, and world record setter Disco Partner with a repeat victory in the Jaipur. New York breds, get with the program.
We're back on Saratoga Live on Fox Sports 2 and other regional networks across the country. 8th race coming up. 6 furlong sprint. There's a look at Dream Pauline, Javier Castellano, and those golden burgundy silks of Stone Street Stables. Isotope the 3 following behind. One of the multiple winners in this field as we kick off our post-parade. We'll start with Wisconsin Night. For Mark Hennig, Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard the 2017 Fasig-Tipton May Sale grad.
And she was impressive going wire to wire last time out. She's coming off of that maiden score, and at least she's got the recency.
3-2 favoritism on Dream Pauline for Kieran McLaughlin with Javier Castellano.
Yeah, super pedigree here for Stone Street Stables. And like you said, 3-2, you're heavy favorite in a tough field here.
4-time winner, that's tops in this field. The 3 Isotope. Joe Bravo rides for Jeremiah Englehart.
Seems like a filly that does a little bit better when she's more forwardly placed. We'll see if she gets an aggressive ride today.
And the filly that really caught Maggie Wolfendale's eye before we went to break, Mizzen Max for Michelle Nevin. Manny Franco aboard.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised at this 5-1 price. 6 starts, 3 wins, 3 seconds. She's done nothing wrong.
Another one from the Michelle Nevin barn, Shimmering Moon, 3-time winner with Jose Ortiz.
Comes out of a second-place performance last time out against Open Allowance Company, but I still question if she is good enough.
Bill Mott sends out Naples Princess with Junior Alvarado.
Yeah, I know that Bill's been hot, but this horse is eating up a little bit of money and is pace dependent, and 1-for-8 lifetime. That's why she's 8-1.
And Critique for trainer Todd Pletcher. Luis Saez rides, owned by Paul Pompa Jr.
A flashy win here last year by 16 lengths, but she has not been seen since the Frizette in October.
So that is your field for a puzzling 8th race here. As we take a look again at Dream Pauline here momentarily. She'll be making the 2nd start of her career. And again, we showed you that debut. Whenever she got close to a horse, it seemed like in the stretch, she kind of started to shy away a little bit. But once she got going, she really got going.
And sometimes that's what you see with Tappets, Greg. They just have a mind of their own, especially first-time starters. They usually get better with experience. The interesting thing with her, and Kieran McLaughlin, he often trains horses at his private facility, Green Tree, where he can go multiple different directions with his horses. He also trains many on the main track here at Saratoga. But she's been training downstate at Belmont. And I'm curious, you know, what goes behind that decision as a trainer, who you bring here, who you keep downstate.
3-2, there she is. She's going to show more of that greenness in the stretch this afternoon, or have they worked those kinks out? 2nd time out here with his daughter at Tappet. We're going to find out here shortly in this 8th race coming up. She is the 3-2 favorite, but an unknown quantity here in her 3-year-old debut. Will that talent carry over into her 3-year-old season? We're about to find out. 7 minutes to post here in the 8th from Saratoga coming up. Welcome to Saratoga Live. It is presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. It's Thursday afternoon and another gorgeous day in Saratoga Springs, New York, at the premier race meet in the entire country. This weekend, of course, the prestigious Whitney happening for older horses. Today, we have maybe some future stars in the 3-year-old filly division. Greg Wolf alongside Gabby Gaudette. Dream Pauline, she was brilliant in her first out effort, won by 6 lengths. We have not seen her since. She makes her comeback effort this afternoon.
Yeah, she definitely could be the horse to beat if she improves off of that debut performance. She's got the pedigree to do so and the connections to do so as well.
Facing some multiple winners, though, in this field. A couple of them from the Michelle Nevin barn. We're going to check in right now with Maggie Wolfendale for more.
And I am sitting here in the clubhouse, one of the best places to be here with Kieran McLaughlin. And Kieran sending out Dream Pauline off of that long layoff. She has been training downstate. Is that with intention? Is she one that does better down at Belmont?
We wanted to leave her there because she was doing so well. We didn't want to relocate to a new barn. We have some activity over there at Clare Court, a lot going on. So we decided to leave her there. And Joe Lee and his team have done a great job with her, so hopefully all goes well today.
And can we expect a similar type of effort coming back off the bench that we saw last fall from her at Aqueduct?
We certainly hope so. She's a very nice filly and training great. This is a decent group of fillies, so you never know their speed inside and out. Javier's first time to ride her, but hopefully all goes well.
And that's quite a pedigree, Tappet. I mean, you're no stranger to very nice pedigrees, but Tappet out of Dream Rush, I mean, she was an accomplished mare herself, but do you notice, obviously not that, working hands-on with Dream Rush, but do you notice any kind of similarities? What is she like to be around?
She's a star. She's a sweetheart. Yeah. And Tappets can be a little difficult, and she is absolutely like a pony around the barn. Everybody's favorite filly. So she's a star, and we love her.
Oh, that's so cool. Good to hear, and best of luck with her. We're all excited to watch her as well, Kieran.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, always nice to catch up on a bench with Kieran McLaughlin.
He has had some huge wins here at Saratoga over the years, and this one acting like a star in the barn. Can she act like it this afternoon on the racetrack as well?
Well, we're going to find out in 4 minutes, Greg, but it's always good to hear, these fillies that have a sparkling personality. The one Wisconsin night, we mentioned earlier that she's got the recency. She comes in off of a maiden victory last time out, but you question the strength of her last field. I know it was a flashy figure, but a lot of the fillies that she beat in that race have come back to actually regress.
And she was all out to get that win. Positive note, she won from the rail. She gets the rail again today. She's just about always had an inside post all 3 starts of her career.
She's what I like to call last time was the time horse. She won her last start at 7-1. Now she's beating tougher horses, and she's a shorter price. To me, Paul, as a bettor, that's just never a great gamble.
Yeah, you're right. You don't get her at the price. Now you got to take 6-1 in a really tough field, and she's going to have to push from the get-go. But she might be able to get the lead in this spot. Some encouraging words from Kieran McLaughlin. He doesn't usually tip his hand, but telling it that he thinks that this filly is training tremendously. Stone Street's got to be very, very excited. And when I got back to 4-horse, I was talking about prices. 9-2. When you look at this filly's record, what has she done wrong?
The 4 Shimmering Moon?
Tactically, she could be right there. She can sit a little bit behind. She can go to the front end.
Shimmering Moon.
I mean, she is a bear.
We're talking about the 4 Ms. and Max. Excuse
Yeah.
me. I didn't love this horse, but I thought Gabby, you made some great points about this horse when we were on Talking Horses this morning.
Well, I just really do think that she's an improving type, and given the things that Maggie Wolfendale said about her in the paddock, it leads me to believe that she just is a filly that's improving. Her last race, yes, she was supposed to win, but she beat a filly that came back to win an allowance here with an 83 Beyer speed figure. She's quick. She's got a lot of positional speed. Looks like she's headed in the right direction. Why not?
Yeah, I see where you're going there. I mean, really, because the horse, like I said, she's always right there, and I think you're just getting a really good price, and I just think you're getting a better proposition than when you're getting with the 7. The 7, you're sort of really gambling what's going to happen. Yeah, and Ms. and Max, I think you know what you're getting.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, whether you like Ms. Max or not, but you're right. She's a sort of known commodity. And Critique, Critique feels like the kind of horse that could go out there and run a giant race. She could go out here and just trail the field.
By the way, Greg, I played for the Albuquerque Dukes. They are now called the Albuquerque Isotopes. Should I be rooting for the 3?
Do you use the 3 in your pick 4?
Yes.
You should definitely be rooting for her. She's 9-1.
Okay, good.
But the fact that you've got a little allegiance, I root a little more, but your money's more important, right, Paul?
This guy's finally coming together on something here. I like it. Let's check in with Maggie Wolfendale for more.
And just want to check in with that other layoff runner. That is number 7 in here, guys. Critique, who, for Todd Pletcher, I always thought last year looked more like a turf filly, and he tried to run her twice on the turf. So I don't know. they obviously feel as though that she can handle the dirt, in which she did a good surface in breaking her maiden up here at Saratoga. She looks fit coming back off the layoff. She has grown a bit, which is nice to see. She's fairly quiet, so she's not necessarily cranked up. I still question her overall affinity for this surface. I guess the one feather in her cap here, Greg, is that her owner, Paul Pompa, has been cited in the paddock.
Uh-oh. Wanted to come to see the unveiling of the 3-year-old season here. Always a good sign. And two, you know, the 1, the 2, the 7, they're 3-year-old fillies. They're taking on older horses, 4-year-old, 5-year-old mares in here. And not to mention the 3, the 4, the 5 all have multiple wins.
Exactly. It is a very tough ask, and a lot of the times, you know, trainers point for these types of races just to get one underneath their belt and build upon races like this. So we'll see. I do think that if none of these talented fillies off the shelf show up, this is a wide open affair.
You just saw the 2 step in line. Dream Pauline. She won by 6 lengths first time out. Her trainer, Kieran McLaughlin, said she behaves like a star around the barn. She's everybody's favorite. Will she put in another star-making performance here and remain perfect 2 for 2? We're about to find out. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York racing for the call, Larry Colmus.
Last couple going into the starting gate here. Naples Princess taking her spot in line. Will be followed by Critique. Under Luis Saez coming up to the outside stall here. Critique goes in. And they're all in line. Off. Wisconsin Knight comes out of the gate sharply. So too Miz and Max. These two out to the front together. Opening up from Shimmering Moon. Dream Pauline to the inside. Critique and Naples Princess. The trailer is Isotope. Up the backstretch. Wisconsin Knight in front. On the outside comes Miz and Max. Dream Pauline is right there running in third, in behind the leaders, and just a length and a half to make up. Then Critique on the outside, Shimmering Moon racing along in fifth. Naples Princess and Isotope 22.65 that opening quarter mile. Around the far turn, Miz and Max and Wisconsin Knight duking it out with 3 furlongs to go. Critique is under a ride in third. Dream Pauline is on the inside, traveling well enough, 2 lengths off the lead. It's going to need a way through there. Shimmering Moon goes up on the outside, and Naples Princess, and they're coming to the top of the stretch. Dream Pauline is swung out 3 wide now to try to run down Wisconsin Knight and Miz and Max, and these 3 arrive in the final furlong. Naples Princess and Shimmering Moon are also finishing on. Dream Pauline strikes the front. Dream Pauline to the lead. Miz and Max fights her from the inside. Naples Princess is third, but Dream Pauline's too good. Dream Pauline goes on and wins. Comes back strong, takes it by 2.5 lengths. Miz and Max was second. Naples Princess third. Then Wisconsin Knight in 109.52.
Dream Pauline, perfect 2 for 2, and her 3-year-old debut, sensational here.
Yeah, and very professionally done, too. And she stopped the clock in a really nice time here in 109 and change. And Andy and I looked at each other down here and said, wow, she's really going to win this race. Put her in a perfect position, swung her out 3 deep. You cannot miss her with that big white face, and just does it businesslike.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to see from a very lightly raced 3-year-old facing older company. She was very professional, taking dirt behind other horses. She angled out, and she had enough to really finish up nicely here. And a good performance from Miz and Max, who actually took some late money there, Andy.
I have nothing to add to what you said, Gabby, and what you said, Paul. I mean, you know, one of the nice things about coming to Saratoga is seeing good horses run well.
Yeah, you're right. And this is a filly that's onwards and upwards with that pedigree. Listen, when the guy's telling you right before the race, they call it around the barn the Star, that's a pretty good name.
So Dream Pauline, impressive, not green at all in the stretch in start number 2 for her 3-year-old debut. 2-4-6-1. Dream Pauline, the 9-5 favorite. Hugs all around for Kieran McLaughlin. Barbara Banke of Stone Street Stables. We'll be back with the prices from the 8th right after this.
Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets, play in our exclusive promotions, and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NyraBets.com.
Kentucky Derby winner Orb was the leading freshman sales sire of weanlings, yearlings, and 2-year-olds. On the track, his runners have scored on both dirt and turf, including stakes winners Autumn Warrior and Orvolution, stakes performer Scrapper, and TDN rising star Explorer. In the sales ring, his progeny continue to sell well beyond his stud fee, including the $1 million co-sale topper at Saratoga. Classic winner, classic pedigree, Orb, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Success starts at Saratoga. The Saratoga Selected Yearling Sale has established a reputation for high quality and high performance. Recent graduates include Grade 1 winners Avenge, Bolt d'Oro, and Moonshine Memories, and 2017 Breeders' Cup champions Battle of Midway, Stormy Liberal, and Rushing Full. The nation's #1 sale by percentage of Grade 1 winners, the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Sale, August 6th and 7th.
We found Breeders' Cup champion Rushing Fall at Saratoga. Where will you be?
Back on Saratoga Live, and there are the Yaddo Gardens, among the most popular attractions in all of Saratoga Springs. Receives over 50,000 visitors annually. Some of the great names of artists who spent time there: Truman Capote, Langston Hughes, Sylvia Plath. Their mission to support artists at political risk, and many other great artists they have had there over the years. So much to do here at Saratoga. That's being sponsored by the Community Outreach Booth this afternoon here at Saratoga Racecourse. You can go to SaratogaVisit.com, I should say, and check out all the great things going on around town and see all there is to do here. Not just all about the racetrack. Of course, tomorrow, right across the streets, National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame inductions that will include Heavenly Prize. 8th race in the books in Dream Pauline. 2 starts, 2 wins for trainer Kieran McLaughlin. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
On TV with me. And pleased to be joined here in the winner's circle by the Winning Connections owner, Barbara Banky of Stone Street Stables. First, we'll start with you, Barbara, because this is your multiple Pauline horse. And where does this name come from?
That's my mother, who's very obstreperous, and every time we name a horse for her, hi Pauline, I know you're watching, it wins graded stakes. So,
well, that looks as though it might be in Dream Pauline's future, Karen. I'll turn my attention to you. With that professional effort, she just looked as though she hadn't been away from the races for that long. Where do you go with her from here?
Well, there's a chance we'll look at the Prioress September 2nd here on this track. So she's definitely a stakes filly, so we need to step up and give it a try.
And Barbara, I'm sure you all having a bit of a sigh of relief as they turn for home. As you said, somebody said it was over.
Yes, I love those races where it's over.
It is sewed up when they turn for home. Kieran, job well done with this filly. She looks to be very nice.
Thank you, and Javier did a great job riding her. All went well.
All right, well, Dream Pauline undefeated now in only 2 starts, Greg.
She was impressive, and it sounds like now we could see her again closing weekend at the meet.
And that would be very, very exciting. I mean, this is a filly who showed a lot of professionalism today in her first race off of 8 months. She's lightly raced, as we said, so onwards and upwards for this talented filly by Tappet, homebred for Stone Street.
So Dream Pauline back to the barn, successful 3-year-old debut, and she looks like she has taken a step forward from that 2-year-old debut performance. Returns $5.80 for the win. You saw Barbara Benke of Stone Street Stables, the owners here, and Javier Castellano aboard for the win.
It's pretty cool that Barbara Benke has had so much success naming horses after her mom, Pauline, because how often does that actually work out?
Yeah, it's true.
Rare.
Not very often, but it's certainly worked out for these connections. Look at the Naira Bets late pick 5 follow along, and so far no bust out long shots here at this point. That's our first favorite though to win in the sequence. And we still got 2 legs to go. And that last race, I thought, was extremely wide open.
The last races here at Saratoga are always wide open. You just have to get there first and foremost.
That's the hard part. Coming up this weekend, one of the most prestigious races in the entire country. It's the Grade 1 Whitney. So much history in this race. It'll be the 91st running of this event. And mind your biscuits and diversify. A couple of New York breds leading the way in this spot at 1 1/8 miles, $1.2 million purse. We're going to take a look at this entire field from top to bottom, and we will start with Tappet, last year's Belmont Stakes winner. He returns for the 3rd start of his 4-year-old season.
And he's come back with 2 performances. I thought his first performance off of the layoff was good considering how the race was run, but disappointing in the Suburban last out.
Backyard heaven. He went into the Grade 1 Stephen Foster as the favorite. He disappointed. Chad Brown, though, believes he has him back on track.
You have to hope that it was the heat and perhaps the late night of the Stephen Foster that enabled him or had him running so poorly last time. If he bounces back, he can win.
Huge long shot in Dalmore, but he is going to bring pace to the party. His connections say he will be in front.
Well, it's Mr. Luch. He's never turned down a fight that he doesn't want to try to win, but this horse is completely overmatched, but might make Diversify work early.
The New York bred, Mind Your Biscuits for trainer Chad Summers, stretching out for the Whitney.
He has positioned himself as one of the top sprinters and even milers in the country, but the biggest test for him is not only to go the 9 furlongs on Saturday, but go 2 turns for the first time in his career.
Long shot, Discreet Lover. He is a graded stakes winner, but he was no match for Diversify in the Suburban.
He gets my vote as the coolest overachiever in racing in 2018. An excellent 4th place finish in the Met Mile and a 3rd place finish in the Suburban. Maybe he could fill out the Super, Paul.
Diversify, trained by Rick Violet. His Grade 2 Suburban, the best performance he has ever had in his entire career.
Yeah, and that is the worry. Is he going to bounce off that effort? Is he going to regress? You look back, one of his better races, or his second best race, you can argue, was here at Saratoga. And on Saturday, he's going to play Come Catch Me If You Can.
Good Samaritan. He's trained by Hall of Famer Bill Mott. The best moment of his career came right here at Saratoga, and he won last year's Jim Dandy.
An impressive performance going from turf to dirt, winning last year's Jim Dandy. He stretches out from the mile and the Met Mile last time out, and his best races on form are at the distance of the Whitney.
And finally, McCracken. He was second, just missed by a nose in last year's Haskell Invitational. Ian Wilkes, his trainer, says he has a ton of talent, and he's definitely better than what we saw in the Cornhusker last start.
He had traffic issues in the Met Mile 2 back, and the Cornhusker had a very slow pace that hurt his chances. Still, I don't think he's a 2-turn horse.
So that's the field for the Whitney. I think, what are your thoughts on Diversify? If he runs his last race that we saw in the Suburban, is everyone running for second here?
Yeah, it's all over. I mean, he ran a 110 Fire speed figure the way he did it. He looked like he had enough left in the tank. And look, Rick Violet is a trainer that listens to his horses, and his horse is telling him, I am doing better than going into the Suburban. So you have to have confidence in that.
Guys, when you look beyond Diversify in this race, who do you look to?
Well, I think it's a good question. I mean, because you have to say, well, Mind Your Biscuits is the only horse that has the talent that Diversify has. But is that talent going to extend to 1 1/8 around 2 turns, Paul? To me, I could never bet him at a short price, but he could do it.
Yeah, it's just such a different ball game. I get it if it was 1 1/16, and it was a 1 turn, but 1 1/8 around 2 turns around a racetrack where he has been okay at, but he has been bad at. And when it comes to Diversify, yeah, you're right. If he runs that last race, they're all running for seconds. That's just the bottom line.
I think Backyard Heaven is the real wild card in here, guys. If he can bounce back and run as well as he did in the Ali Sheba, he has a chance to stalk second or third behind Diversify and put a run against him. He's the only horse that has that race, but you're going to have to completely dismiss his Stephen Foster, and it's tough to completely throw out such a poor effort.
And the other part about this, too, is what do you do with Good Samaritan? We saw him launch from way back and win this race, win a race here last year. Like, where's he going to sit in this conversation? Where is he going to be 15, 20 to 1 in here?
No, he's not going to be 15, 20 to 1 because of his win in the Jim Dandy. But here's how Good Samaritan wins. Diversify doesn't show up, okay? Or he can't sustain speed. He doesn't run well again. Mind Your Biscuits, he can't get the 1 1/8. Backyard Heaven, his last race is really an indicative of his current form. They don't show up, and Good Samaritan wins. I'm not gambling on him, hoping all 3 of those horses don't show up.
Don't forget, guys, about McCracken. Better than what he showed last time out. No one's talking about him. Long shot that may return to form. He was very good in the Haskell last year as a 3-year-old. Build your bankroll for the Travers Stakes in the Whitney. Bet $50 to win on 1 horse in the Whitney with your Naira Bets account and earn $20 for Travers Day, regardless if your pick wins or loses. Head to NairaBets.com for the full bankroll builder schedule. Travers Day, of course, August 25th. Right around the corner, shaping up to be a sensational race, including a filly in that race for the first time since 1979. We're going to look back at the Birdstone Stakes from earlier on today's card and a huge upset when we come back.
Good time, about 900 and about 900,000. Thank you.
He struck me as a classic distance type horse. The way he moved, his efficiency of his stride.
It was a freakish victory, and it was one of the reasons that made Cupid a horse to really keep an eye on.
To come off a long break like Cupid did, it's almost impossible, and just goes to show you the quality of horse he is.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Birdstone up for the lead. Birdstone in front. Purge is battling with him. On the outside, the cliff's edge. Eddington is fourth at the rail. Birdstone at the 8th pole with the lead. The cliff's edge. Birdstone in front. Purge is battling with him on the outside, the cliff's edge. Eddington is fourth at the rail. Birdstone at the 8th pole with the lead. The cliff's edge takes it to him. Zeno 1-2 with the 16th to go. And little Birdstone digs down. The cliff's edge could not get to him in the darkness at Saratoga. Birdstone.
That was a Travers win for Birdstone off a 12-week layoff. Unheard of. We'd last seen him when he spoiled Smarty Jones' Triple Crown bid. In the winner's circle, there was lightning, a freak storm out of nowhere. They actually canceled the final races on the card.
You can't see anything. It's incredible that when you can finally see him in the shot with the light at the finish line.
Nick Zito said to Mary Lou Whitney, "You're Gene Kelly today. You're singing in the rain." They enjoyed that victory. That was incredible. The Birdstone named in his honor run earlier today on the card, and Todd Pletcher seemed to have an unbeatable hand in that race, including the defending champion, who went off a 1-5 favorite in that race in hard study.
Yeah, and that horse was definitely the horse to beat going into the race, but obviously we had a scratch of the 3 in there, and sometimes things can change in a short field.
And change they did. Instead, hard study got all he could handle, and in the end, big dollar bill. Trainer Ian Wilkes comes up with a stakes victory.
This was a good victory for him. I mean, I do still think that hard study did the majority of the dirty work, pressing the pace, and he just kind of made this last move. He reserved all of his energy for the final just couple of yards down the stretch. But congratulations to them. This was a big win for this horse. That was a long shot.
Is this our first true? I mean, that's a 1-5 favorite who's the defending champ of the race. Our first big graveyard of champions moment here?
I wouldn't necessarily call it that. Maybe
1-5 favorite getting beat. I know it's not a champion, but defending champion of the race.
Okay, sure.
No, you're not with me?
I'm not with you on this one.
Pretty big upset. Race 9 coming up next. Takes more than a 1-5 to get beat for you, huh?
Champion is the key.
He was the defending champion of the race. Okay. Mile and 1/8 on the turf coming up next here on the moon again. State's debut for a filly that was facing the best of the best over in France, and again finished second in a Group 2 where she beat Senga, who was a Group 1 winner.
She has been keeping company with some pretty impressive fillies and mares overseas, including, in the Group 1 Prix de l'Opera, even in the Group 3 Prix de Sichet, where she actually finished third in here. And you made a good point in that Vue Fantastique, who was the winner of the race, she would eventually come across the pond here and be pointed towards the Grade 3 Sands Point. She finished 6th out of a field of 8. So there is a little bit of a question, and we haven't seen her since October. And she is a closer. She's even a closer at 1 1/4 miles. Today she is returning, going 1 1/8 miles, and there is no speed in here.
Ooh, yeah, there's only one horse probably that wants to go to the front. That is the long shot Dynatail, the 6 here in this spot. Time for a paddock report. We're going to check in with Maggie Wolfadale. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Curlin for $150,000.
Thank you, Greg. And we do see 2 foreign shippers here in this race, as we'll take a look at the one who is your overwhelming favorite, and deservedly so, with number 5 on the moon again. And she gets Lasix for the ever-dangerous Chad Brown Barn. And really, I mean, I think she would be a player if this was a graded stake on the turf as well. And she's only going to have to face Allowance Company here, as she will go the 1 1/8 miles. And she definitely looks like that type of horse overall. You know, not the biggest, but that's to be expected, being a daughter of Cape Cross. And the thing, though, on the flip side of that, is that she's incredibly balanced, and she has a lot of class about her. I love the way she presents herself here, her overall disposition here in the paddock. First time running here in the States, she's acting like she's been here 10 times before. So I love that with these foreign types, and she's a deserved favorite. She does look fit as well, coming back off the bench. Moving on to the Argentinian bred, that is Care Lady. And it's so funny to kind of see these foreign shippers from around the world and how they typically look, the kind of overall mold of horses coming from different countries. And a lot of times we see the Europeans are a bit more on the smaller, angular side, and all the South American horses I tend to see are these bigger, raw looking types of animals, and that's exactly what Care Lady is. She's pretty tall. She's a tall drink of water. And big, yes. Does a 1.8 actually scare me a bit more being too short for her than On the Moon again? Yes, she might need every bit of a 1.25, though she has moved kind of early in those races and still able to get the job done. I like her here, though. She's fairly sharp. She came in on the muscle, and she's extremely fit, and I love the way she's put together. So both of these horses, I think, deserve a look. As we'll check in with Wesley Ward's charge, that is Conte Patiro, and now as a 4-year-old, this filly has really reached her full potential. One that would get a little hot, a little bit on her nerves pre-race, and she has not done that whatsoever. She's calm, cool, collected here. She's also filled out that frame. Her coat, her flesh, her muscle mass look 10 times better than it did the last time I'd seen her, which was in the springtime of last year. And I think Conte Patiro, of the horses that have been racing here in the States, is the one that you want to possibly upset your heavy favorite here. Andy?
Thanks, Maggie. I mean, obviously On the Moon again, and Maggie likes how she looks, which is a good thing. And Chad Brown has a very good record with limited starters with these Europeans off layoffs, at Saratoga particularly. She has faced much better horses. If she runs a race, Paul, she's going to win. Tactically, though, I think it would behoove them to be aggressive, because the only speed is Dynatail, and I believe the horse who's aggressive and maybe procures second or third position early behind Dynatail will have a big advantage.
You make a good point. So what do you want to do? You look to the right of the comments and you see mid-pack, mid-pack, mid-pack a lot with On the Moon again. So do you want to take her out of her running style? Because the 6 in here, Dynatail, looks like the lone pace in here. But you never know what's going to happen if she's going to break sharp. Usually the Europeans have trouble breaking. We'll put her behind the 8 ball. But then you look at what the fillies that she's ran against overseas and you go, oh, my God, how does she lose this race?
If On the Moon again doesn't get a lousy trip and she shows up and runs, she's a very likely winner. But pace could get her beaten, and it's still a layoff even if he's good. Now, Conte Partiro, who Maggie was touching on, when she came back in Keeneland in April, her first start in 6 months, she ran a remarkably good race. It was a race that was dominated towards the front end. She had significant trouble, and she was extremely wide throughout and ran amazingly well to finish third. Then they try synthetics. Then she runs against a tough field of Modesty. This is a more reasonable spot, even with the 5 in here. I think she's a player.
Yeah, she is a player. The thing about her is she might be behind the 5. You know, in younger in her career, she was actually a pretty good sprinter, a turf sprinter, and I'm wondering where all her speed went. She has no pace at all.
I agree. It's odd with her. She's gotten older. She's lost her speed. The one Danceland, and it's a recurring theme, also has no speed. But I will tell you something. While she beat inferior rivals last time, she overcame a very moderate pace, and she was extremely impressive, making a run from well back. Great ride by John Velasquez that day.
Yeah, you know, last year she went from the 10-0. She was very, very impressive. They wheeled her back in 3 weeks, and then she was flat, and they've given her a couple times. I thought her last race was pretty good. Now I think Shug has figured her out, that she has to give her time in between her wins, and she could be dangerous in here.
It'll be interesting, guys, to see if it's a question of maybe a horse like the 6, who's inferior Dynatail, can back it down, or if talent ultimately shows in the end, as it often does in turf races.
Yeah, Dynatail 11-1 in here, and Luis Saez is going to be awfully lonely in this race, but in a good way on the front end.
He usually likes to be lonely on the front end, and that's definitely going to be the case with Dynatail. There's always a question of whether she's good enough, and she'll be tested today.
So On the Moon again, the 5 filly, the 7 Care Lady, both making their state's debut coming up. And we know Chad Brown usually has them ready to go. 7-5 on the Moon again. The daughter at Cape Cross coming up. There is Chad Brown leading the way again already here at this 2018 Saratoga meeting. And he just has an abundance of talent in his barn, especially in this division with fillies and mares on the turf.
Oh, for sure. I mean, just look at opening week when he had a huge, significant charge in the Diana. He's got a arsenal of horses back at the barn that fit this mold.
Sister Charlie, of course, would win that race. This filly he's running this afternoon actually faced Sister Charlie in the Prix de Diane in a Group 1. As we get set for our post parade, coming up, here's Danceland, John Velasquez, Shug McGahee for the Allen Stable.
This filly does have 3 wins. One of them here at Saratoga, and comes off a nice win at Belmont, and you're getting 9-2.
Last Promise Kept, trained by Tom Proctor at Rad Ortiz Jr. aboard.
She's pace compromised, and she's probably a little slower than the best horses in here.
Conte Pertero. She beat 23 horses in the Sandringham at Royal Ascot last year.
It is funny how she was once a decent sprinter, and now she's reinvented herself as a deep closer going long. She's not untalented.
On the moon again, the States debut for trainer Chad Brown, Javier Castellano aboard.
Yeah, what are we going to see from this filly from Cape Cross? She's going to come overseas and debut with Lasix.
And Dynatail, the speedster of the group here, Luis Saya, is aboard for Mike Deeney.
She is the controlling speed for a very dangerous trainer, but she just doesn't seem to seal the deal.
And a multiple Group 1 winner on both turf and dirt in Argentina. Care Lady States debut for Arnaud Delacour.
Yeah, sort of a wild card in here, right? And for a very good trainer, another filly that's going to come over here debuting with Lasix.
Race 9 is coming up. You could play it by getting signed up and started with Naira Bets. There's a $200 new member bonus going on now. Use the promo code Saratoga Live to take advantage. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Go to NairaBets.com or download the Naira Bets app to get signed up and started. Race 9 is next. On the moon again. 6-5 favoritism for her first start here in the U.S. We'll be back with the race live next.
Turning for home in front. Coast of New York on the outside. California Chrome is third. Shared Belief laboring back there in fifth. 1 furlong to run. Bayern, Coast of New York. California Chrome on the outside. The three of them come to the wire. Bayern, Coast of New York. California Chrome. Here's the finish. Bayern holds on.
And here in the box seats, joined by owner Martin Schwartz, who will be sending out On the Moon again. Martin, their first start here in the States after running in France. Let's first talk about purchasing her. I mean, she has run with some of the nicest fillies and mares in Europe.
Yeah, she first start for me, she finished second in the Nonette. And Michelle Zarolo, who's my bloodstock agent, touted her to me. She was one of the most respected fillies in Jean-Claude Rouget's barn. So I had to pay the premium.
And you're no stranger to racing horses in Europe as well. I mean, is that something you like to do? And how long have you done that?
I've done it since, I won the Coronation Stakes at Ascot in 2005, so I've been doing it at least 15 years. And we won the French Oaks with Stay Solita in 2009, so it's quite exciting. And we ran her in the Opera, which was a very difficult race, and she came up empty in that race. And then I shipped her over here, and it's taken her a while to get her right. We had her at Barry Eisenman's in northern Florida, and then Chad went to work on her, and now she looks magnificent.
She really, truly does. Looks as though she is ready. Finding a spot like this, was the kind of, was it tempting to enter her in a stake, or did you just want to get a race into her to kind of get her rolling?
I'm a gambler, so I like to go for the moon. I like Saturday horses. But Mr. Brown, my trainer, who we've been together since he won his first 2 Grade 1s with us, with Zagora and Stacey. So I listen to him now. I've mellowed out a little.
And Martin, really quick, flashing back to what you said about Ascot, how cool is it to win a race there?
It's terrific. My son and I, we won by this much. Poor Karen's caper. She lost to us by an inch or 2. And then I came back with Gorella and the First Lady, and she lost by an inch or 2 also. So I always have her in my thoughts, because it's much better to finish first.
That it is. Nothing like winning and winning a photo as well.
Sir called the race, and he said, "I'm the Bob." So
we got to name a horse that. Well, Martin, best of luck here with On the Moon again.
My pleasure.
All right. Another import here from Martin Schwartz, Greg, looking to get the money.
Now, that man there has had some real nice filly and mare turf runners in the day. Breeders' Cup filly and mare turf winners, Zagora. Grade 1 winners, Asi Siempre, Stasalita, and Gara, just among a few of them.
I'm really happy that Maggie asked Marnie Schwartz that last question as to why she shows up in this race, because Chad Brown is a trainer that does not shy away from bringing horses off of layoffs with really good European form and immediately tackle graded stakes company. So the fact that she is in this race and, say, not pointing towards a graded stakes either here or, say, the Beverly D, is that a concern?
I don't think so, considering who Chad Brown has barned to run in the Beverly D. He's got horses like 4-Star Crook and Sister Charlie, and he knows she can't beat those. And maybe he's hoping to get this race into her so he could point to a race like the Boston Spa on Travers Day. I just don't think he realistically thinks, how could I run in the Beverly D with this horse off a layup against monsters like that in my own barn?
Yeah, or, you could, there's so many ways you could take it. You could take it as, okay, I really got a nice filly here. Let's go through her conditions here now in North America and get her right. Her last race looked like it was over soft ground. They probably brought her over here because she probably prefers the firmer ground. But, yeah,
I don't think it's a negative at all.
I
He's got to
understand
find a
where
spot.
Gabby's coming from. You can go either way.
Well, I understand. I think it's a great question by Gabby.
Yeah.
But I think the answer is Chad knows who he has in his barn is running in the Beverly D, and I think he probably, my guess, and I haven't asked him, is he's thinking Boston Spa with this filly, and you want to get this race into her to get her to the Boston Spa. Better to have a prep, wouldn't you say, than not, Gabby?
Yes, and I'm glad that both of you guys kind of converse about that downstairs, because Paul brought up some very valid points, too, in that, maybe they just want to get a race into her. She's obviously been slow to get back to the races, as Marty Schwartz did allude to. So, yeah, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate for a horse that's 4 to 5.
That's a barn that has an embarrassment of riches in this particular division. Right. So let's see, maybe get a race into her and then see what you have and how truly good she can be and move on from there. Meanwhile, the 7, Care Lady, the other one making her state's debut. Again, we mentioned multiple Group 1 winner in Argentina on both turf and on dirt. She's 5-1 right now.
Yeah, but she is a horse that's been running competitively at 1.25 miles against horses in Argentina, and On the Moon again has been running competitively against horses that distance in France.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the one from France.
Yeah.
Much shorter price, I agree, but the chances the Argentinian one is better, pretty low.
Yeah, I get it. I'm not going to sell her short, though, because at least her fields have been big. Sometimes you get these horses coming in with short fields, 15, 13, and 11 in her last 3.
On the races that we're able to see, the 2 turf races from Care Lady, we don't know who she beat, but she certainly has a lot of heart and does not quit.
Yeah, her last Group 1 win, she made this crazy premature move. Even the jockey celebrated way too early before the finish line, but she finished up really well. The thing that I liked about her, Greg, is that she pinned her ears back every time any other horse was trying to pass her, and she galloped out strong. She looks like she's got a lot of talent, but I do get that maybe this distance might be too short.
Conti Partiro, the 4, steps in. Her last win, it was at Royal Ascot in the Sandringham. She beat 23 other horses. That was at a straightaway mile. Now, trying to go 2 turns at 1 1/8. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of horse racing's Triple Crown for the call, Larry Colmus.
And here's Care Lady, the filly from Argentina, coming up to the outside stall here to complete the line. The French filly is 4 to 5. On the Moon again, as Care Lady comes up to that outside gate. She's in. They're all in line. They're off on the moon again. Missed the break. She was slow to start. Dinah Tail straight out to the front, opening up to lead by 3. Care Lady will sit back in second position. Dance Land is third. Last Promise kept fourth. Conte Partiro is fifth. And on the moon again, slow to come out of the gate. Will have to come from last to win as the favorite here, racing about 7 lengths off of front-running Dinah Tail. And Care Lady drafts in behind her. Dance Land and Conte Partiro are right together. Last Promise kept is second last, and the trailer on the moon again after a 24.95 opening quarter mile. So it's Dinah Tail setting the tempo here under Luis Saez. Onto the backstretch, the longest shot of the race on top, and in the clear by almost 2. And then Care Lady second up the backstretch, followed by Conte Partiro on the outside. Dance Land is next. On the moon again is moved out of last, having gone by Last Promise kept, who's now at the back of the pack, as they crawl through a 50.58 half mile. Dinah Tail setting a very slow pace on the lead here. In the clear from Care Lady in second. Dance Land is third. Conte Partiro is fourth. On the moon again. Not much pace in front of her after that slow beginning. She's traveling about 5 lengths off the lead, moving around the turn, but beginning to pick it up. Last Promise kept trails. Dinah Tail on top. Care Lady coming under pressure from Jose Ortiz. He wants more from her. On the inside is Dance Land. Conte Partiro on the moon again. Last Promise kept at the back of the pack, and they're into the stretch with Dinah Tail taken on now by Dance Land. Dance Land draws even on the moon again, is dashing through an opening on the inside. And then it's Care Lady in fourth. On the moon again's in tight, trying to squeeze through inside of Dinah Tail and Dance Land. Dinah Tail, Dance Land on the moon again, in so tight. Oh, she's going to have to steady. They're coming down to the line, and it's going to be Dance Land. Dance Land over Dinah Tail on the moon again was an unlucky third. Then Conte Partiro in 1:49.48.
Difficult trip there for On the Moon again, down on the fence. Dance Land takes advantage and gets the win for trainer Shug McGahee.
We'll talk about the stupidity of going inside with a favorite. Dance Land, though, she's an improved horse for Shug McGahee, and she got better position early because she was able to break. Let's give her credit. She's improved for Shug. Another horse, Paul, that keeps improving for Shug McGahee.
Yeah, and we talked about this. Dinah Tail got everything on the front end that she wanted. I just don't understand why Javier Castellano, he wants this back. Why he would even gamble going up the inside. I kept telling you, he was waiting way too long. Just circle the field. You had the best horse. Make the middle move. Everybody's so afraid of making that middle move. I just don't get it.
Well, I'd be even interested to eventually going back to the start, because this is a filly. We always see these European debuters or North American debuters, they don't get out of the gate, and that was the case with her too. But things got really, really tight as Luis Saez on the 6 is not letting Javier go through a position or a space that isn't there.
It was a mistake, but Javier made the right move, staying inside in the turn and cutting the corner. That's the right move. You save a lot of ground and a lot of position by doing that. At that point, you've got to be a little bit patient, and you've got to angle. She'll break a little slowly, but when you save that ground, you got to be a little patient, Javier, and just ease your horse out and get out in the clear. You're not going inside horse and winning. This was a very poor. He made a very good move, Javier, and a very bad move.
Yeah, and here's the issue. Dance Land has won 3 races, one's here, in their non-allowance votes, where you have a 5 who's been running against horses that are Grade 1 winners. You cannot take chances with even money shots that are in Grade 1 winners going up the fence.
Stop going up the inside. You save that ground. You cut the corner. There was some separation. She should have just waited a little bit and gone inside. He ducked inside. It's a very foolish move by Javier Castellano that cost this horse the victory.
And there's a good look at it. There's blue and orange silks down on the inside. It is just too tight in there and nowhere to go. The inquiry sign is now up. So hold on.
It's dangerous, and I still don't understand too why Javier Castellano. I mean, he was so far off of the pace that when you make a move, you just try to get these types of fillies out in the clear. And Javier rides so frequently for Chad Brown. He always rides the horses like that. That's how they are known to run and win.
And guys, this inquiry, likely the 6 horse coming over on the 5?
It is, but I think the 5 caused her own problems. Javier had no business in there. And the shame is he made this great move on the turn, staying inside, cutting the corner, saving that ground. Like, she went from being last, basically, to boom, a length and a half off the lead. And at that point, Javier, a little bit of patience and angle her out, like Ramon Dominguez would have done, and she would have gotten the money and gotten it done very easily. This is the point. Just wait a little bit. Be a little patient there.
Well, he could have pushed out the 7. The 7 was a dead horse. I'll tell you what, Greg, when we go back to the head-on, I think Dynatail should not come down at all, and I'll tell you why. When the 5 was coming up the inside, maybe there was a little bit of a room, but when Saez hit the horse right-handed, the horse just reacted a tiny bit. There was nothing there. He corrected it, went left-handed. That's what you're supposed to do as a rider, and there's still no hole there. Castellano was trying to fit an elephant through a keyhole.
I completely agree with Paul.
All right, so trying to force the issue a little bit. The guys think downstairs. The jockeys will make their case to the stewards as Chad Brown, obviously very concerned with the trip his filly got there down on the inside.
Yeah, he looks a little upset, as I would be too. But as Paul and Andy were mentioning downstairs, you know, pay close attention to Luis Saez on the number 6 Dynatail. He even tries to correct the filly in staying in her path. He's not deliberately trying to close a hole. The hole was never there.
That's those BB blinkers you see, the neon green that Gabby's talking about. And yeah, it does appear, I agree with Paul, I agree with you. It seems like it. And there's Luis Saez just stated his case to the stewards on the phone. Was it enough? Will they see it his way?
I just think it was such a great move by Javier there, cutting the corner. And now, just wait a little bit. The one's going to move forward, and he's going to be able to get outside of her. I put her in a tough spot, and I agree. I doubt there's a DQ here.
You know what ended up happening is like, okay, we watched race number 7, guys, upstairs, and we saw Century, right? And Manuel Franco got out so late. Castellano could have waited almost that long, and he would have won this race, but he just got a little impatient.
I agree.
We hear cheers below us.
To be fair, they're making split-second decisions, and it's easy for us to watch it and say what they should have done. And I think it's fair to say that Javier did something very, very smart in cutting the corner like that, and then his next decision was not the right one. But it's easy for us to say the decision they should have made in a split second. It's easy for me and everybody else. It just seemed like it was the wrong one in this case.
Yeah, and I think they made the right call, the stewards. I really do.
Absolutely, 100% agree, Paul.
Yep.
So it's become official. No change. 1-6-5 finish. Let's go downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
I'm pleased to be joined here in the winner's circle with Shug McGahee, second winner on the card on our show as well, with Century earlier and now Dansland Shug. She's a 4-year-old filly, that 3rd start of the year. She seems to be getting very good for you.
I think so. You know, I think we ran her at Keeneland and she kind of troubled trip, and then her last 2 races have been good, and she's acting like she's wanting to get better. We wanted to try her a little bit farther today, going 1 1/8 miles, and I might even try her a little farther down the line a little bit, because she might get a little better even going a little farther, as long as she'll settle.
Yeah, and it looks as though she is doing that in her races now. And I mean, obviously you tried some stakes company last year with her. Do you go back to it?
Well, we obviously with filly bred like this, we'd like to get some black type on her, so I would have to think that probably that's going to be in front of her. I kind of had to talk Joe, and he not running her in the stake this time when this race came up this way. And of course, I didn't know Chad was going to have a Grade 1 winner in there, and Arnold Delacour, you know. But that's the way it is up here, you know. You better come ready to play, and she was ready to play today. He put her, you know, he put Johnny in a good position the whole way, and he got her in the right place where she could finish, and you know that's the object of it.
Shug, job well done with her. I know you have some babies coming in next. Anybody we can look forward to?
Well, the ones I've got in, I like both of them. Yeah. The 2-year-old colt is, you know, he's a nice colt, I think. And then the 2-year-old colt on the grass, he's pretty laid back kind of horse. He might need a couple races to kind of get his mind on what he's doing, but I think he's okay. And then Sunday we've got a daughter of Storm Flag 5, which would be the last one. So she's worked good around here, and we're looking forward to running her.
Looking forward to seeing them. Shug, congratulations. Nice day for you.
All right, Maggie, thank you.
All right.
The music blares, yeah.
Yeah, I think they can still hear us upstairs, though, Shug. As Shug having a great day, Greg.
Yes, he is. Multiple wins this afternoon, and Danceland now 4th win of this 4-year-old filly by Tappett's career out of the Stormcat mare Wonder Woman.
4 wins, but they've all come by a whisker. And actually, I love how this filly just kind of extends her neck out and is really competitive. So good to see her get back-to-back wins on form. A filly that looks like she's improving.
Hall of Famer Shug McGahee with another victory as we take a look at the Naira Bets late pick 5 follow along, and that's going to do it. One price you get, and this thing's going to pay tremendous. We got it. Big favorite being defeated. Danceland $15 for the win. So we're going to see some numbers coming up in this nightcap ahead. We're going to take a break. We will set up race 10 when we return. 10th will be a mile and a 16th, 75,000 maiden claiming on the inner turf. Next up, what does a former peanut vendor from Dodger Stadium and the great Dr. Fager have in common? We'll tell you when we come back.
An undefeated graded stakes winner on the track, Algorithms was the nation's #1 sire of 2-year-olds in 2017 by percentage of winners. His top runners include multiple graded stakes performer Rich Mommy, winner of the Grade 3 Sugar Swirl, multiple stakes winner and graded stakes performer Recruiting Ready, and stakes winners Taylor Spirit, He Hate Me, and Sunset Ridge. In the ring, his yearlings have brought prices up to $220,000. Algorithms, standing at Clayton Farm.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a link to the half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200.
A dramatic finish.
Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Back on Saratoga Live, we still have one race to come here on this Thursday afternoon. It's presented by Claiborne Farm, 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Coming up tonight, the annual Racetrack Chaplaincy of New York charity basketball game at the Saratoga Racecourse Rec Center. Jockeys versus trainers. It is free admission and donations, of course, accepted. And they're going to have a little halftime to benefit Hurricane Relief Fund in Puerto Rico. Jockeys, though, usually get a ringer. And they got, I think, another ringer this year. Look at this. Gabby Gaudet can fire from long range. Where'd you learn that technique?
Nothing but net.
Are we going to see you in the game tonight?
They were trying to recruit me. I said, I can't.
Just spot up and hit threes from distance. You're Steph Curry.
I will tell you, that was my second shot. It wasn't my first, but it was my second shot.
In life? No. Oh, okay.
At the time.
Okay.
At that specific time. Look at this.
Let's just break this down for a moment.
Okay, my form is a little off, but
You're
just
in
remember,
heels?
I'm in heels and in a skirt.
And I like the line drive aspect to it, too. I mean, that is just, it's either going in or it's going like a mile past the basket.
I know.
All or nothing.
Eric Unsell, I believe, was shooting hoops, and I just took the ball from him and said, can I have at this? Gabby Jordan, man.
Unfortunately, Gabby, we'd love to see her in the game tonight. Will not be in the game tonight, but it's a lot of fun. 6:30 is when it starts. It is free admission. They're going to have an auction at halftime. Again, it benefits hurricane relief in Puerto Rico, and there's a program to give backpacks to the backstretch workers' children that they can use to take to school as well. So for a very good cause
Excellent
coming up
cause.
tonight.
And it's a lot of fun to witness. I'll tell you that.
1968 was a very special year in horse racing. That year produced one of the great campaigns in the history of the sport, a year that most historians probably don't even realize how good it truly was. The man on the crusade to get the word out about Dr. Fager and give him his due, meet Richard Aller.
Nuts! When I sold peanuts, I yelled, nuts! Nuts! I think I became widely known because I made it a lot of fun. I used a semi-Don Rickles insult routine. Sir, I can't figure out why this gorgeous lady is with you when she could be with a 64-year-old Jewish peanut vendor. It's terrible. And people knew me. In 2008, I was in Times Square with Steve Haskin, and somebody yelled out, "There's the peanut vendor." I had a souvenir concessionaire who taught me flash is cash, and I used every trick possible. And the last 10 years, I got away with verbal murder. We were getting meal tickets, and I sold the meal ticket for $6, and they fired me. There was a whole lot of publicity to get me back that it was not a fireable offense, and I got my job back. But it was also very embarrassing because I was wrong. A number of other vendors were doing it, but that's not the issue. It's a part of my life that I enjoyed. I've had a lot of different areas in which I've worked at. As you can tell from this interview, I lost my voice. Between 50 years of school teaching and lecturing and discussions and 47 years of vending, my voice has worn thin.
That is Swaps.
First horse I ever fell in love with was Swaps. And I made a mistake, because when you fall in love with a horse, you can't objectively analyze them. I wasn't really knowledgeable then. I just fell in love with being there, and my dad took me, and it was just love. Dr. Fager got tested every way imaginable. And every person who I sit down with, they come away mind-boggled. But the press has not told the story accurately. This is Richard Eller, Dr. Charles Fager, who saved his life, and a friend of ours named Owen Levy. And every year, up until 2013, we went to John Nehru's birthday. We were there for his 100th birthday. We couldn't go in 2014 because of a snowstorm, and John was not well enough in 2015. He died on August 13th, 2015. 12 days before he died, John Nehru called me up and said, "How you doing, partner?" I said, "Well, John, you know, my legs aren't too good and my back isn't good." He says, "Partner, I can't walk, I can't see, and we all get a pink slip." And 12 days later, the most wonderful person I've ever met in my life passed on.
Well, he is a really interesting character, and tomorrow on the show, I believe we're going to show it tomorrow, he's going to make his case as to why Dr. Fager's 1968 season was the greatest in the history of the sport.
I'm very excited to tune in on to that, but also I got the chance to meet him at Belmont, and what a character he is. I was so happy to just get a minute to talk to him, actually.
Yeah, he's very interesting. And I swear, I didn't know that. I've been to many Dodger games. I think I recognize him now. We're going to have an episode of Jock Talk coming up. Rajiv Mirage, he's going to be on Market Alley, the 5 in the next race. get an up-close and personal look at the man who is doing Push It from Salt and Peppa on Jockey Karaoke Night when we come back.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Wow, my favorite win, I would have to say, was my first British Cup win on Caleb's Posse. It was like my biggest dream come true. I've always been such a big fan of the British Cup, and before I started riding, I always said that I wanted to be there one day, so that was really such an enjoyable win for me. My favorite part is I'm living my dream. I'm getting to do something that I love to do every day and having fun. And it never feels like work for me. And I think that's something that I think is a dream come true, and it makes it so much exciting for me. My mom calls me Raji Poo. Well, nobody else really has a nickname for me. Well, there is a nickname, but it's not really appropriate, so I'm not gonna say it. Real Madrid is the team that I support as a sport team. I follow them pretty strongly. Yeah, so I watch Homeland as my TV show. I watch a lot of TV shows that I like. Homeland and Shameless, I would say, would be two of my top choices. And if I'm going for another comedy, I like Modern Family. So those are my TV shows. I can't live without my wife. Angie, yes, I can't live without her.
Now I'm an even bigger Rajiv Mirage fan. I'm a huge Homeland fan.
Oh, yeah, great show.
So good. He's going to be on Market Alley, the 5-horse, coming up in our nightcap. Our show brought to you in part each and every day. And that piece on Rajiv was brought to you by Run Happy, the champion sprinter. There he is on the farm in Claiborne in Paris, Kentucky. Never, ever lost when he was sprinting in his career, and he did so all without running on Lasix medication. Set a track record, the Breeders' Cup Sprint at Keeneland and Spring-Summer 2020. We're going to start seeing his progeny on the racetrack.
Took a trip out to Claiborne Farm not too long ago and got the chance to see him, and wow. He has always been such an incredibly beautiful horse, and that hasn't changed much now that he's a stallion.
Baby's coming soon again in 2020. We're going to set it downstairs. We get set for the 10th race coming up to Andy and Paul.
Paul, we have a similar situation here as we had earlier today with Here Comes Your Man, the 7th race, where the 1A special trip has clearly run races that can win here, but she seems to be a filly that just doesn't know how to seal the deal.
Yeah, and it's always tough to back a horse that basically was ranked, and they didn't even put a number down. I know it was against older horses that day. She ran so much better with blinkers and then confusing next start. Now they drop her for 75, and I get it. Who's really going to claim her for 75? That's what they paid for her, so it's really not really a drop. But, I mean, do you prefer her over the other entry mate in here?
Oh, yeah, the other entry mate seems to be overmatched. I actually like the 2 Love Mo in this race. Love Mo, if you look at her races last year, she was running against considerably better company. She debuted in that killer maiden race, which you remember well, with significant form. The stakes horse got disqualified. She actually ran a credible race in there, and I think her races were okay. She's well positioned inside. She's got some speed. She was claimed in her first start off the turf, back on the turf, first time as a 3-year-old, first time in a maiden claimer as a 3-year-old on the turf. Why not?
Yeah, and you got the right rider right now. Luis Saez is pushing all the right buttons, and I think he's going to have her in a perfect position, maybe stalking a little bit. And you mentioned those fields. Again, I go to field size. She ran 3 good races at 3 different racetracks, so she's got a little bit of quality.
And Jonathan Shepard will try to start a new streak after he didn't win a race here last summer with Screen Image. But let's head out to Maggie Wolfendale in the paddock for a paddock report brought to you by Hillendale.
Thank you, Andy. And actually, I'll start with the horse that you like. And you brought up some great reasons for number 2, Love Mo, to be able to get the job done here. The one thing I will say about her is, while physically she looks a lot the same and getting back on the turf is ideal, a little bit more subdued today. Concentrating a bit more. I like that. It's that good forward controlled energy which I look for in horses. Moving on to ones towards the outside. Number 7, Screen Image for Jonathan Shepard. And once again, she will be wearing a hood like she did last time. And she almost ran down a 3-5 Christophe Clement horse shipping into Delaware in her last start, which was off of a layoff. She looks fantastic here. She's a big, strong filly and well-defined, super coat on her. I like this one for Jonathan Shepard. As we'll also take a look at number 9, Mambo Dancer, who is garnering some attention on the board right now for Todd Pletcher. And look, I have no complaints with her overall, but I don't know. I mean, she didn't have much early speed in her debut, where she was the beaten favorite. Kind of tried to come up the rail and just was checked late. She looks fine here, but I feel as there's other interesting horses. As number 8 is a first-time starter by the name Lolly for trainer Barkley Tag. This one has a nice turf pedigree. Obviously not taking much money. Barkley not necessarily known to fire with his first-time starters, but she is fit here. She looks very well suited to the conditions, is wearing blinkers for her first start, and she'll be a big price here. One of only 2 horses not covered in the pick 6 here, Greg.
Yeah, the 3, the 6 would result in pick 6 carryovers. Thank you, Maggie. 5-2 favoritism on the outside runner, Mambo Dancer, the 9 for Todd Pletcher. We're going to go through the post parade coming up here in just a moment. Let's take a look at the Saratoga Showdown standings. Again, you can play this contest each and every day on our show without risking any of your own money. You're playing for real prizes. And right now, we have a 3-way tie at the top with our final race coming up. So good luck to everybody still involved in that contest. Again, NYRA.com/showdown, where you go to get involved every day on the show. Here comes our post parade. We're going to start with the entry in here at 5-2 on the board, and Muchacho Uno kicks things off the claim for Jorge Abreu.
Muchacho Uno, coming out of a second place finish last time out, hopes to be numero uno today at the finish line.
Stronger half of the entry in here. They won a special trip. Will break middle of the field with Irad Ortiz Jr.
Yeah, she's definitely a contender in here, but I'm not crazy about her performance 2 starts back when she had a perfect trip and couldn't get the job done.
The rail to the 2, Love Mo, who gets back on the turf.
First time in a maiden claiming race in the turf for a horse who faced tough horses last year as a 2-year-old on the grass.
Patty Dunalot, trained by Gary Contessa, and David Cohen rides at 19-1.
She's primarily sprinted at 6 furlongs against Maiden Special Weight Company. She stretches out to 2 turns and drops in class.
Summer Fling the 4 dropped in for a tag at Churchill last start and missed by a nose for Mike Maker.
Got a very good trip in her last race, in a race where the pace fell apart. She's meeting tougher today.
Market Alley, and this is the one that Rajiv Mirage will be aboard today for Doug Fout.
And she's naturally a very quick filly, and the blinkers go on today for the first time to make her even faster.
Rick Violet sends out Super Committee. Jose Ortiz on board.
One of a number of horses that could be forwardly placed in this race. I think for Connections might have been happy if it got rained off.
Screen Image, the 7, trained by Hall of Famer Jonathan Shepard. Florent Giroux aboard.
Hoping to see Jonathan Shepard get a victory at this meet, and I think that this filly might give him the chance to do so.
The only first-time starter in the field that Maggie mentioned, Lolly, daughter of Candy Ride for Barclay Tag.
This horse has probably the best turf pedigree of anybody in this field.
And our favorite on the outside, Mambo Dancer, start number 2 for trainer Todd Pletcher.
She was bet first time out at Gulfstream in June, and she had a very tough trip, but she doesn't give you much value today at 5-2.
8 minutes to post in our finale here on this Thursday afternoon at Saratoga after today's races. Great racing action continues on the West Coast at Del Mar. Use your Naira Bets account to split 250,000 points without even hitting a ticket. Just bet a $10 base exacta in race 5 at Del Mar to split those 250,000 points. Head to nairabets.com to place your bet. Coming up, the finale from Saratoga. Special trip, part of the entry in here. Now favorites on the board at 5-2. Irad Ortiz Jr. looking to notch another win, teaming up with Jorge Abreu. We'll be back with the nightcap next.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on Saratoga Live, Hattie's Chicken. It's famous in this part of the country. And if you come to the racetrack, always a good bet. A little chicken sandwich. That thing was huge. How do you eat that?
I went there the other day and had this spicy fried chicken. Woo, delicious.
Sounds great. Yeah, a couple of spots here in town. We're getting set for the nightcap coming up. It's just 5 minutes away. 5-2 on the entry, and also 5-2 on Mambo Dancer on the outside, making start number 2 for trainer Todd Pletcher, a daughter of Blame, who's only beat 2 lengths, bet down to favoritism in her debut. But a lot of ways to go in this race. Taking a look at the 4 Summer Fling. Kendrick Carmouche will ride for Mike Maker. For more on this one, let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Thanks, Greg. And number 4 in here will be making only her second start in a maiden claimer, narrowly defeated down at Churchill Downs for 50 last time out. And really, I thought one of the better looking horses in here, but 12-1 on the board. Granted, my eyes are terrible. That's 13-1. Wow, I need to get my eyes checked. But she looks great. So that's a bit of an overlay on a filly that I think could make sense here. But as far as the pace is concerned, I would take a gamble and say that the 13-1 shot on the board, number 5, Market Alley, may just be it. She is very sharp. She was basically running her connections and handlers over in the paddock. And last time she was fairly rank and getting to the front end last time out down at Laurel in those maiden special weight fields. She puts blinkers on. It's not a short cup. It is a full cup blinker. She can barely see anything to the side. So I think the intent is there to go to the lead. We'll see if she can last the entire mile and a 16th here on this inner course, Greg.
All right, we will find out. Trained by Doug Fout. Blinkers going on today, and 13-1 a price. So a horse is going to try and take him the distance on the front ends. We look at Summer Fling, and yet dropped in for a tag for the very first time last start at Churchill. Got bumped a little bit and just missed, so the drop certainly helped this runner last start. And
you're getting 13-1 on Mike Maker on the turf, and a maiden race anywhere is, he always has a good shot of winning. This filly, I don't know. She definitely could win. I still think that she's going to need a little bit of pace in front of her. There are a couple things that need to go her way, but she's definitely not impossible, Paul.
No, I think this is my top selection, and the reason why, you look at Mike Maker's numbers from Belmont to Saratoga, he's 0 for his last 25. Now, when it comes to Churchill Downs coming over here to Saratoga, he's almost at 25%. Now, this is a filly that's a 3-year-old filly, hasn't been out since May. I know the numbers are a little bit low, but I think that she's going to fire today like she fired last time. I'm just looking for a price here.
Listen, Paul, you bet your money. I root for you. I don't like her a little bit and don't think she's good enough to beat these horses. I think she's moving up in company, and she was in a race last time that very much flattered her running style. But I respect your opinion, and I respect you as a bettor, and I will be rooting for her. I hope I'm wrong about her. I do think they have to talk about the 7 screen image for Jonathan Shepherd. Jonathan Shepherd had a win streak of over 40 years of winning a race in Saratoga, right? Snapped last year. And I just think she's a super logical horse in here. I mean, isn't her race at Delaware faster than the one she's coming out of? And she lost to an odds-on favorite for trainer Christophe Clement, 3-5 shot last time. I just think she's a very logical horse in here at a square price of 4-1 right now. The underlay in this race is the Todd Pletcher Mambo Dancer.
Yeah, Mambo Dancer, 9-2 morning line. She's 5-2 right now. She was favored for a lot of the wagering as we get a look at her. Coming in here from Gulfstream, and John Velasquez, the leading rider in the history of Saratoga, will be aboard.
She had some traffic last time and was steady late moving inside and didn't make a clear run, but she was running against a number of horses I just think are inferior to these. And I'm not saying she can't win, because I think she can. I just think she's a terrible bet at 5-2.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. The bet at 5-2. And then do you want to take the entry? You know, Gabby upstairs, not really sold on the 1A. I'm not really either. The 1 might... If he was by himself or she was by himself, she'd be like 12-1 in here. And a horse like Super Committee is not getting played and has a couple of races that can compete in here, Gabby.
No, for sure. And even to expand upon what Andy was talking about with Mambo Dancer, you know, people will over-bet treble lines. And that's what you get when you throw in Todd Pletcher and and Johnny Velasquez in the saddle, too. And you still don't know if she's any good.
And John Velasquez, from an outside post and a horse like this, I'm going to predict a 3-wide trip around the racetrack. That's my strongest opinion in this race, that Mambo Dancer loses more ground than just about anybody in this field with that post.
Okay, track is bet for a beer.
Track is bet for a beer,
Sounds
Paul.
good.
I think you owe me 2.
Oh, and Andy was talking about the 9 being overbet here a little bit. Does it scare you with the 4 that the 4 is taking no attention?
It's a fair point. Yeah, she is cold.
What price should the 4 Summer Fling be in this race,
well,
guys?
Shouldn't
Isn't she
she
a
be
little
closer
slow?
to 8-1? 8-1, 10-1. I mean, she's like 14, 15-1.
Shouldn't be 14-1.
She looked like a big price to me, but Paul likes her. I'm rooting for Paul.
The 2's getting bet though, and this is who both Andy and I like.
Lovemo should get bet in here. I mean, she's run only a maiden special weights on the turf and has not had a chance to run as a 3-year-old in the grass.
Let's send it upstairs. Here's the nightcap. Larry Colmus with the call.
One left to go in here. Mambo Dancer and John Velasquez coming up to complete the line. Steps forward. They're all in line, ready for a start. They're off. Good beginning for Love Mo. Petty done a lot up and on the pace too. These two joined on the outside by Market Alley, who's flashing speed and is sent along to grab the lead by Rajiv Mirage. And Market Alley's just winging, going really quickly into that turn. Going to open up at a sprint pace here is Market Alley, opening up a 6-length lead. Love Mo is second, Patty Dunalot is third, and then it's Special Trip Muchacha Uno to the inside at 23.46, blazing opening quarter. Summer Fling Super Committee next by 3, and then it's Screen Image and Mambo Dancer as the field heads up the backstretch here. Lolly is trailing the field. So Rajiv Mirage intent on the front with Market Alley going to try to slow things down now, opening up a 4-length lead here. Patty Dunalot second through a 48.95 half mile. Love Mo is down on the inside. And then comes Super Committee running along in fourth, followed by stablemates Muchacha Uno and Special Trip. And then comes Summer Fling, Mambo Dancer to the inside, Screen Image and Lolly racing for the far turn. Market Alley on top still in the clear by 2, but the pack is getting a bit closer now. Super Committee ranging up on the outside, up to this pacemaker now. Love Mo is third. To the outside comes Summer Fling in fourth. Muchacha Uno in behind them, and they're into the stretch. Super Committee on the outside to the front. Super Committee takes over here as Muchacha Uno comes on the attack on the outside second. Mambo Dancer is finishing well down toward the inside, and now it's Muchacha Uno. Muchacha Uno goes by Super Committee, and Muchacha Uno and Manny Franco are going to do it here. Super Committee was second, and third was Screen Image over Mambo Dancer in 144.69.
1-6-7 finish. Muchacha Uno. Jorge Abreu off the claim with Manny Franco get the win.
Numero uno, too, and just her second career start on the turf. She got an ideal setup. We obviously did see the number 5 Market Alley setting that fast fraction. There is trainer Mike Dubb. Congratulations to, owner Mike Dubb. Congratulations to him getting the victory here today. And a good setup, though, guys, for this filly to close off from the pace today.
It's always great when the wrong half of the 6-5 entry wins, and a funny win for Mike Dubb, who was just his second win of the meet, beats Clarvin Stable, and they battled it out last year for the title. But off the claim for Jorge Abreu. We mentioned before how Jorge Abreu is claim source for Mike Dubb and done a very good job for him.
He really has. The races that he's won have been from Michael. And Muchacha Uno really set a good trip, Manuel Franco. I like to get a look deep in stretch. Jose Ortiz is such a competitor, such a great rider. He's looking back in mid-stretch like, really, somebody's going to pass me right now? He took a peek back like, come on, man. I've only got 3 wins on this meet. I know I'm going to get mine.
He thought it was the 1A. He said, wait, where's the A?
He looked back in mid-stretch because I think he thought he was clear, but Muchacha Uno end up winning easy. I want to see if we could get the look at it. Watch him right here. He gets to the front end, guys, and you can see he starts looking around, Jose, going, do I got this race won finally? I've been in a little bit of a slump. About right here, he's going to start looking around, and they're going to start coming after him. And the 1A is just going to go right there. So you see the peak he took.
But I lost my beer bet, guys, with Paul, because John Velasquez did an amazing job of being on the rail almost every step of the way with the number 9, the Todd Fletcher horse, who just wasn't good enough. And that was a great ride by Johnny.
He knows his way around this race course. That's why he's won more races here than anybody else. Not able to get the win. No, there's Mike Dubb. His other win here was a pretty good one. Monomoy Girl, Coaching Club American Oaks.
I'll say.
But now he notches another one. Muchacha Uno at 6-5 is the favored entry. Gets the job done. We'll be back with prices next.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Eclipse champion Blaine is having a breakout year in 2018. Among the nation's leading sires of stakes horses, his recent top runners include Fault, Maraud, Marley's Freedom, Beyond Blame, and Miss Kentucky. He's also making a name for himself internationally with French classic winner Senga. And with yearlings bringing up to $350,000, this 3-time Grade 1 winner offers outstanding value. Blame, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Beautiful shot of just above Saratoga Racecourse here at Saratoga Springs as our Thursday card coming to a close here. Muchacha Uno, the other half of the entry, getting the job done. Now that Special Trip was going to be the tough half of this entry. Instead, it's the other half carrying the weight.
Yeah, she definitely looked like the lesser of the two, but she proved all of us wrong. She's getting the victory, returning 460 again. Part of that coupled entry, 167 for the top three.
Pick 4 pays just over $200. Naira bets late pick 5. Again, look at that value, $1,596. The only difference in the sequence, Super Echo, who went off at 3-1.
And the biggest thing was Dan Slan winning, I thought, because I felt like a lot of people would be leaning on the Chad Brown runner.
No doubt. Saratoga Showdown, and we have a winner. Agatera S, well done, $156.50. The bankroll created this afternoon. Again, every day we're on, you can play as well, and you don't risk any of your own money at all. You're playing for free. You're playing for real prizes, though, as well. So go to naira.com/showdown to get involved. We are back tomorrow. We have, of course, the Hall of Fame inductions right across the street.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame race itself, which will be race 9 on our card tomorrow.
Really looking forward to that.
Should be good. We hope you join us. We're back at 4 Eastern time. We will see you then. Raging Bull for Chad Brown. Gadoo, who went over to Royal Ascot, coming back to line up in that feature race tomorrow afternoon. Today it was Dream Pauline, the best in the 8th race. Perfect 2 for 2. Wins her 3-year-old debut very professionally for Kieran McLaughlin. And Stone Street Stables with Javier Castellano. And the State's debut for On the Moon again. A lot going on here, but it was Dance Land getting the money for Shug McGahee. We'll see you tomorrow.